Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse episode 362. I am Peter and joining me as always, the returning Matt.
Hey, and I return and the Knights have a Stanley Cup. So I think every Stanley Cup season I'm just going to relocate to Canada and let the chips fall where they may.
Is that like the World Cup for hockey, Matt?
Well, I mean, it's not as the World Cup, but it is hockey's finest trophy. And it now resides in Las Vegas. So let's go.
Okay. Is that like winning the season?
Yeah, it's the championship.
Why is it called Stanley Cup?
So because originally before the
NHL,
you really want me to
I actually don't care that much. No, I don't
before
care.
the NHL was created, all the different hockey leagues would compete in a tournament for Lord Stanley's Cup. So yes. Hockey has a lot of fun names for their trophies, like the most gentlemanly, so the guy that's basically helped the community in least amount of penalty minutes. It's called the Lady Byng Trophy. So there's kind of a big, if you kind of want to insult somebody, you'll be like, oh yeah, he's Lady Byng caliber. And you're like, he's not a tough guy.
Look, Stanley's just a prestigious name. Hockey and Australia's own original streaming service both have the name Stan. It's clearly a name of dignity.
Yeah.
Integrity. Connor's also here.
Again, this is crazy.
Is this like 4 weeks in a row now?
4 or 5, yeah.
Something like that.
It's a streak.
Yeah, because I did one with Matt before he was gone, and then 2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay, well, here you go. This is a DC Comics podcast. We talk about the comics we read this week, and it was a busy week because we have got to talk about Wonder Woman issue 800, Superman issue 5, Nightwing 105, Titans issue 2, Batman Superman World's Finest issue 16, Batgirls 19, The Vigil issue 2, and Cyborg issue 2. So, yeah. Matt, would you stop clicking your mouse?
I mean, it's hard for me to click on League of Comic Geeks then.
You just have to not look. I'm sorry, but you're.
Just do what I do and mute your mic first.
The clicky's too loud.
I was typing away and I was considerate.
Do you want praise?
How's it now?
I don't want to give you praise. Okay, I think.
How long till he forgets to unmute himself?
Well, it's not muted. It's just I'm clicking.
He's just clicking softly.
I didn't know it was possible.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Yes, we also have solicits this week as well for September. So plenty to get into, plenty to look at and talk about. So there's no separate news, really, unless we want to talk about the Flash movie having the biggest second week drop in the history of films, but... but probably nothing other than that. Like they're predicting like a 75% drop for week 2, although the Friday itself was like an 81% week drop.
I assume none of us have seen it still.
Nope.
No.
I assume none of us have any plans to see it.
Nope.
No, I haven't seen Spider-Verse yet, and I think that's more priority.
Me either. I was gonna go yesterday.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy came out, and I just played that instead.
That's all you did all day?
Literally. Yeah. I stopped to read some comics and eat at one point, but the rest of the day, I must have spent about 10 hours just playing it.
I have been playing that too. It is a good time. So
I'm enjoying it. It's not really Final Fantasy, it's more Devil May Cry, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I've been playing that. Diablo 4 came out a few weeks ago as well, so there's too many video games coming out. There's too many movies coming out. There's too many video games coming out. It's a very busy season, and they should enjoy it because this writer strike and possible actor strike might just like make next year be a complete drought.
This is like the next part after the pandemic drought where everyone turned to gaming.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're kind of getting that again, and they've got a little bit of an advantage in that they don't have to stop working this time.
No, they do not. So, yeah, busy season. And a reasonable amount of comics as well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Obviously, the next couple of months is weird because of the whole Night Terrors thing, but there has been a lot of number one starting. There's more number ones coming in September, so You know,
I was
busy
saying
times.
earlier on Twitter, because it kind of dawned on me. If anyone was looking at, like, they wanted to switch over to being 1 month behind on DC Online, you know, the Ultra, DC Universe, now's probably the best time to do it. Because sure, you've got a 3 month gap, but like, okay, you've got a 2 month wait anyway because you've got Nightmares that, let's be honest, I don't think anyone cares about.
I don't think I've seen anyone be positive or enthusiastic. Like, not necessarily everyone's been negative, but just I don't think I've seen any like, oh, I can't wait for Night Terrors.
I think there's a lot of apathy around.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is a thing they're doing. So.
And I feel like if you're taking a 2 month break from most of your books, I mean, now's the time. Just take the extra month's break and jump back in. You know, you've got a good jumping back in point. I think that's usually the hardest point about making the switch over to being a month behind is, at what point do you decide I'm stopping here right now?
Yes, but
wait?
Also shut your mouth, because I don't want most of our audience to be a month behind. That would be awkward for us. So shut your filthy ginger mouth and let's get on with the show.
You say that, but if they're all a month behind, you'll just be a month behind.
No, I won't. Like, when do we decide to make that? We'd have to just take a month off at some point. Like, when do we decide to do that, to be a month behind?
After Nightmares?
The truth is, we don't. So, don't listen to Connor. Read your books.
I'm saying, look, if you were considering it, and like, you know, especially with budgets and, you know, prices being what they are, and, you know, there's a cost of living crisis, this is probably your best time.
What's a banana cost these days anyway? $10?
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
I like that Matt got that joke, but Connor did not, because Connor's a filthy casual who's not watched Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm.
I got the joke. I've seen the memes.
Yes.
It's what's her name that says it.
Yeah, Lucille. Right?
I don't know the character's name. I just know I know her face.
Right, that was the mom, right?
Yeah, it's just Lucille,
Yes.
Lucille Booth, yes.
So making sure.
R.I.P. Jennifer Walters, who passed away last year, or maybe 2 years ago now.
Yep.
I think it was still 2 years ago now. It was a little while.
But yes, welcome to the show, everyone. We will start with everyone's favourite segment. It is, and forever will always be, the ComiXology Top 10. So we're going to look at Tuesday and Wednesday's numbers. It's going to be fun. Everyone's excited.
The answer is Batman.
There was literally no Batman books out this week, so
But Batman finds a way.
Connor is. You've made that
That's
joke
not
before.
true. There was a Batman book, but I don't think it's going to be in the top.
Yeah, but Connor's
Was
made
it
that
Batman
joke
book?
like 10 times before.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
And one day it'll be right.
and one day maybe it'll be funny, but I doubt it.
It'll be funny when it's right.
Hey, I find it funny because he says it every time without fail. It does that where it ceased being funny and now it's back to being funny.
He's went around into like the ring territory where it's so bad that it's become almost slightly good.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks, it'll cycle back to being not funny, and now
Yeah, he'll be self-aware Tommy Wiseau in a few weeks' time, and no one wants that. All right, Tuesday's top 10 as of right now in ComiXology. Matt, do you want to give a serious guess?
Yeah, it's Nightwing.
It's not actually.
Dang.
It's Wonder Woman 800.
Yeah, it's only then.
Nope.
Okay. It's Titans.
It's Titans.
Boom.
Titans issue 2 is number 1. Number 2 is Nightwing. So people love the Tom
Hey,
Taylor.
Tom Taylor sells comics. I don't know if people know this.
Number 3 is Superman. Number 4 is Wonder Woman 800. Number 5 is World's Finest. Number 6 is Batman White Knight Presents.
There's the Batman book.
Whatever that's called. Number 7 is Cyborg. Number 8 is Black Adam. Number 9 is The Vigil. And number 10 is Batgirls, which I thought there was one issue left, but when I read this week's issue, I went, oh no, I guess this was the last one, because it feels like the last one.
Well, because we commented on it's a shame they didn't just go to 20. I remember when we got the final issue announcement.
I was convinced it was 20 for some reason that it was going up to, but whatever.
I know it's the final issue. I know this is probably why it's gotten cancelled, because it sells, but below like something like Black Adam and The Vigil is not good numbers, let's be fair.
Well, no, but I mean, it's never really been that high. Like, it's less surprising to me that that's kind of in this lukewarm I mean, I'll put it this way, Catwoman's number 11. Catwoman's even lower.
Catwoman has always sold badly, and it won't last long with this team again. I'm sure it'll change probably if it doesn't get a nice bump after this crossover.
Honestly, I am shocked that Catwoman and Harley Quinn are the two that stick out in my mind as constantly being really low in these lists.
Harley Quinn sells really poorly digitally, but it sells gangbusters with the variants.
No, it probably does, but those are the ones that stick out in my mind that despite the popularity of the characters, they always seem to be selling really poorly.
So what always gets me there is that these are just the digital numbers, right? That Pete's reading off from ComiXology.
Of course.
So yeah, these are just, they might sell better physically because Batgirls is always there's a hefty stack at my shop, but people are buying it to necessitate there being, quite a few copies.
And the reality is they still base all of most of their business decisions on the physical sales.
I feel like Batgirls to me strikes me as the book where the audience is pretty dedicated and probably after issue 1 has its initial bump because it's an issue 1. I suspect the same 20,000 people or whatever it is who buy it have been buying it since then consistently.
Yeah.
Because that was always the joke I always heard about Aquaman is that Aquaman, like its ceiling is 30,000 copies pretty much, and it always does that. It never does any better. It generally doesn't do much worse than that either, but there's a ceiling that it just never, penetrates.
Well, Pete's saying there's only 30,000 Aquaman fans out there.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying.
I'm amazed there's that many.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So, yeah, there's Tuesday's books. So we'll look at Wednesday as well. Any guesses as to the number 1 book from Wednesday?
Let me unclick DC. And
I'm doing the same. I'm going to guess it's not an X-Men book for once. Is it Saga?
Nope.
Oh.
It's Incredible Hulk number 1.
Nope.
Damn.
It's a bloody X-Men book, isn't it?
Is it? Hold on. Oh, it's Ultimate Invasion. God, there it is.
It is Ultimate Invasion.
Yeah.
The new Hickman thing.
It's a $9 book? Good
yes,
Lord.
it is.
60 pages.
Number 2 is Avengers issue 2. Number 3 is Incredible Hulk issue 1. Number 4 is X-Force 41. Number 5 is Saga 65. Number 6 is Scarlet Witch Annual. Number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 8 is Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain. 9 is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And 10 is New Mutants Lethal Legion. So,
well, I'm going to get that Incredible Hulk. There wasn't any at the shop when I got there, but that's Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk book.
Yeah, there's a couple of non-Marvel books. I always like to see a couple of non-Marvel books in the top, especially when they've got no DC to fight off, It's nice to have a couple of non-Marvel things creep into it.
I've been reading the odd thing. I did check out that Void Rivals from last week, the Kirkman surprise book.
Oh yeah.
There was indeed some Transformers in there. It's pretty good. It's pretty solid. It's less of, so I was told, it's a crossover between Transformers and G.I. Joe. That's technically true. It's set in the same universe as those things, but this follows its own thing, and it's kind of just going to be in the same universe with those books as they launch later in the year.
What you're saying is it was more than meets the eye.
Yes.
I saw Connor's soul leave his body a little bit there.
I heard it. It just went.
Also, I've just seen that there's a Godzilla book out this week called Here There Be Dragons, and it's set in the 1500s.
Oh, very good.
I kind of want to read that.
Yeah.
But does Godzilla work if there's no buildings to smash into?
Castles, Pete. Castles.
Did they not have buildings in the 1500s?
He means skyscrapers.
Yeah, not skyscrapers. Come on.
Yeah.
He said buildings.
Oh, come on. A little village hut is not the same as a goddamn skyscraper.
And that thing burns fast, too, because they got those straw thatched
From what I'm
roofs.
gathering from this description, it's Sir Francis Drake versus Godzilla.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't fancy Drake's chances, I'll be honest with you. He'll go down like a bitch, just like Kong did, and that'll be the end of it.
Kong never tapped. I'm just telling you. Maintain it.
Matt's swimming on a technicality, and he's going to ride that technicality.
You know it. I'm going to surf it all the way home.
Yeah, I'm literally seeing it's pirates and Godzilla. How is this book not number 1 on this top 10?
Because pirates are kind of dull.
Like, people don't have taste, Connor. That's why.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, Paris kind of lame. So
That said, we didn't know about it until right now. So
I didn't, but honestly, I've kind of been out of the loop on a lot of comics lately
yeah,
that are not DC and Marvel.
on my trip, Connor, have you read Barbaric?
No, I've been hearing really good things, and I was
Yeah.
gonna pick up the first hardcover the other day, and then I found out that they didn't do a hardcover for volumes 2 or 3. They just went straight to paperbacks, and I was like, well, that's annoying. So
Yeah.
I'll pick it up digitally when it goes on sale.
Because I don't know if they were extra size, but that first trade is only 3 issues. So, if you're looking at the hardcover, it might be easier just to get the paperback.
I read, but I don't
So-
have paperbacks on my shelf that much. It's a space thing. It's like hardcovers on the shelf. If it's gonna be paperback, I'll just read it digitally.
would someone actually say what this is for the audience?
Oh, so Barbaric is a book by Michael Morici. I forget the artist name, but it is essentially it's a fantasy book where there's this barbarian that's gone around and just ravaged his whole life, but ends up with a curse on him by these witches that now he has to do good. And with that curse, his axe becomes enchanted, and now is essentially his conscience. And if people are ready to, he can't kill an innocent person. So, like, when the book opens, this cleric tries to have him render, executions on this guy that murdered people. Another was a thief, and I forget what the third guy does, but he can't kill the thief because the guy was stealing for his family. So, like, the axe, will be like, I can't kill that guy. It's a very interesting book. First 3 issues are a lot of fun, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I've been trying to read more non-Marvel DC stuff lately. I read the latest Bone Orchard Mythos book from Lemire and Sorrentino. So it was the second one of those. It was a 5-issue mini called 10,000 Black Feathers. That was excellent, just like the first OGN that they did for it.
Yep.
I think the third series, which is like a 10-issue series, just started like last week. So I'll either wait for the hardcover because it'll match the other 2, or I'll just cave and read it. And then I read Carly, which is it's an original graphic novel. I can't remember the name of the team. The artist, and it's the art that shines. He's one of the regular Mondo artists before Mondo got imploded.
Right. Very the picture you shared of it from the cover, very clean, thick lines.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. It's a very, I mean, the story. It's a pretty basic revenge kind of revenge action thriller. But
Is it in
gorgeous.
Is the name in the Hindu god of death? Is that what it's invoking? Kali.
Yeah.
Kali Ma.
Yeah, it will be. There's a double reference, but yeah.
I was thinking Carly Rae Jepsen, but okay.
That's Carly. That's a little bit different.
That's what I thought you said, to be honest.
No, Kali. So.
Apparently she had a great set at Glastonbury the other night.
There you go.
Good for her, I suppose.
Shit,
I
she
mean,
has more than one
you
song?
can watch it online, if
I've
people
heard
want
at
to.
least 3 of her songs, okay? Which is
I
good.
really like her new album, not gonna lie.
Which is good for any modern artist as far as my awareness of them goes. If I know 3 of your songs, then you're a star, okay?
Which 3 songs do you know?
Call Me Maybe, Run Away with Me, and I Like You. Or I Really Like You, whatever is the exact.
That's the only time he's ever said that to Connor.
Yeah.
There you go. That's 3 of her songs.
There's 3 of her songs.
I can't name a 4th, though.
Congratulations.
I can't name a 4th. I'm trying to think of a 4th, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't name one past Call Me Maybe, so.
I mean, the new album, the big one that's if you might have heard out in public, it'd be like I think it's Loneliest Time. Like, it's if you go in the shops, you might have heard it because it's just everywhere at the minute.
Yeah. Well,
Everywhere I go, I hear that, and Miley Cyrus's Flowers.
I probably know the same amount of Carly Rae Jepsen songs as I do Iron Maiden songs, to be honest. So let that sink in.
How? That's just insanity.
Yeah. No More Lies, Dance with the Dead, and
These are really obscure picks.
Yeah, I thought no Number of the Beast.
it was the
No
one
Room for
album
the
I
Hills.
listened to. That's why I know those ones.
It's such a weird album to have listened to.
Oh, and the famous one that I couldn't even recognize if I heard it, but I know "Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter's" a famous song. So that's one. I wouldn't know if I heard it though. Well, I probably would if they actually say the phrase, but
They do say the phrase.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know from the I wouldn't know from the intro chords or anything like that. I'd have to wait until they say it.
That's such a weird selection. Of all the songs you could have named, I would not have put money on any of those three.
And how many albums do they have, Connor?
Oh,
50?
yeah. There's at least 20 on it.
So he's pulling some real obscure ones off of the
I'd have thought
discography.
I say Number of the Beast, The Trooper, 2 Minutes to Midnight. Those are probably the three most famous ones.
Not even ringing a bell, any of those.
Fear of the Dark.
Nah, sorry.
Insane. You need to listen to more Maiden. You've not listened to the best parts of Maiden, clearly.
That's entirely possible. I've listened to literally one album of Iron Maiden. I liked it well enough, to be fair. But
Not enough till to get to the other 49, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty early album where they're quite a different sound to some of the, once you get to the 90s where they have the clean tone guitars, which is my preferred era of Iron Maiden. Very, very different sound.
I just enjoy triggering Connor with weird music taste.
But that's of all the songs you could have named, that's no one would have put money on it being those three.
That's why he's the wild card, right?
Yeah. That was true wildcard behavior.
I'm fine with that when it comes to music. But shall we get into September solicits for DC Comics, everyone?
Yeah, because I didn't realize this was this week. And
I didn't either.
Joe, what's so weird about this is
nap.
because a lot of the books are taking 2 months off, a lot of these are literally the next issue from what we read today. It's like issue 3 of this issue.
Yes. It'll be fresh.
So, that said, there's a few new things. Kick it off. So this is September's DC Comics solicits. We have Batman and Robin, issue 1 by Joshua Williamson and Simon DeMeo.
Simone
DeMeo, sorry. So, did we hear about this before? This seems familiar, but I also don't remember actually hearing about it.
I don't remember hearing what it was about, but just maybe Williamson was doing a Batman and Robin book?
I don't remember, but also I just assume it was announced and I tuned it out because Williamson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all pretty lukewarm on Williamson right now. That said, though, my favourite thing he's written was the Robin book, so if that has some of that DNA in it, because he's doing more Damian,
yeah, maybe.
It'd be fun.
Well, and based off of what it says here, too, about it, as us for Batman versus Robin and Night Terrors, a lot's happened to the dynamic duo, but now they're back together and ready to fight crime in Gotham, just in time for Batman's most monstrous rogues to team up and turn the city into an urban jungle. So that does sound more like Robin. There's like a pulpy funness to it.
I'll put it this way. If Detective Comics is the A-tier book, this could be a fun B-tier Batman book, because the main Batman book right now is at like a D level for me. So
I just realized we're going to get further down these solicits. It's going to be that bloody crossover.
Yep.
Oh, get ready! Another villain's taking over Gotham, everyone, for the 5th time in the last 2 years or whatever it is.
Gotham cannot catch a break, man.
It's actually longer than that, but it feels like that.
Yeah, how does anyone still live there? That's what I want to know.
That's the baffling.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
It has to be dirt cheap.
That's probably accurate. More interesting, more exciting. We were praising the news of this in the last couple. I don't know if Matt was here for this, actually.
I don't think Matt was here for this.
No, but I remember being in the airport when this dropped. So yeah.
Yeah. Birds of Prey, issue 1 by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero. Of course, we talked about this as it was revealed over the last couple of weeks. Super excited that Thompson's finally at DC. Couldn't be happier.
Again,
how does Matt feel about the lineup?
Good question. That's your cue, Matt.
Sorry, I missed what Connor said. All I heard was something about the lineup.
He said, "How does Matt feel about the lineup?"
Oh, it's fine as long as Batgirl and Canary are there. I can deal with a revolving door, if you will, or if this is just the solid lineup. But I like Barda enough. Zealot's a weird choice, and of course Harley.
Yeah,
but I'm curious to see how Kelly Thompson writes Harley, because I'm trying to think back to the DC stuff that Thompson wrote.
Not a lot.
Yeah. So, but it's Leonard Romero too, and that was the Hawkeye and West Coast Avengers team. So I'm very excited.
No, I am super pumped for this. Even a character like Zealot, I think it's much easier to make me care about one character that I don't know than a whole team like Wildcats had that problem.
Yeah, even if you don't care about Harley so much. You're familiar with her. It's like you know what to expect.
And getting her out of the Suicide Squad too. I think that's a good move.
And as I said, I said this when it came up as well, but you know, Thompson made me read a Rogan Gambit book, and I cannot stand Gambit, so I think she'll be fine with Harley. Just a sneaking suspicion. So we got that. We got Blue Beetle issue 1. This is Josh Trujillo, who's been doing the miniseries, the Graduation Day miniseries, and Adrian Gutierrez, who I think was also the artist on that book as well.
I think so.
That sounds right.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, just from doing the list
kind of like
names. Yeah,
a sequel on from that book, I guess.
I think so. I think this is just basically turning it into an ongoing. So yeah,
fair enough.
I mean, the movie's coming out, so it makes sense.
That's right around the time the movie should be due, right?
Movie will be out in August, I think. So this will be about a month after.
It's very notable that if you look at the date, this is the 5th of September. They're getting this out as close to that movie as possible.
Yeah.
They couldn't break the Night Terrors to get their Blue Beetle book out a little earlier.
There's something smart for it to not be like bang on, I think, because you don't want to be too early with comic stores, because too early and it's gone. But the idea, if it's like a week or two after the movie comes out, people see the movie and they're like, oh, hey, you know, they'll go into a comic store the next weekend and maybe this will be there waiting then. Maybe.
It's optimistic, but...
It is optimistic.
Well, I just know that Marvel, when Ant-Man came out, right, the movie, they had that first trade ready to go, the Nick Spencer series.
Yeah,
because I think the trade immediately went
smarter, but they can throw a Graduation Day trade
there too.
And given that the character's just finishing high school in the movie, the Graduation Day trade probably will feel quite fitting to go with it.
Yeah.
All right, next we have The Flash issue 1. This is a new series launching after 800, of course, with Cy Spurrier and Mike Diodato Jr. I quite enjoyed the tease of this in issue 800. Did you get a chance to read that yet, Matt?
Oh yeah, I read that. Very, very, a lot of fun stuff in there. But yeah, that Cy Spurrier story was a bit, cosmic horror-y with Wally. That's a new kind of vibe. So that's cool.
Yeah. So no, it had me optimistic for this. So looking forward to it. I suppose this and Wonder Woman get the benefit of, because they're starting fresh after Night Terrors, the gap doesn't feel that bad for them. But everything else less so.
Yeah.
So this is something that actually got announced before last week's episode, and we just didn't notice it.
Did we miss it?
Yeah. Oh. But we have a second Green Lantern book coming. It's Green Lantern War Journal issue 1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it is spinning out of the backup that's in the current Green Lantern book.
Yep.
I stand by what we said about that backup then, that it shouldn't be just a backup. Honestly, it probably should have just been a first issue of this book, or a one-shot to lead into it, maybe.
They've been doing that a lot lately, because that's also how the Robin book started, remember? It was in the backups.
It was a 2-part backup story. Yeah, I remember that in Detective.
Yeah, but this is going to be at least 3 parts, because it said continues after Night Terrors.
Yeah, so. If you look at the solicit for Green Lantern later, it actually calls it a lead-in to this now. So
so it's a 3-part. Each one's been about 8 pages. We could have had just a one-shot. Before, or that could have just been issue 1
or issue 0, whatever. Take
a pick.
No, I mean, I think obviously I like Johnson as a writer, and I'm seeing glimpses of stuff I like in that backup, but it's not got enough pages. We were talking about this last week, that it just doesn't have enough to really hook you on what it's doing. So I am glad this exists. I'm glad that there's a second Green Lantern book, and I'm glad it's him writing it.
It's kind of frustrating though, because I think I'd be more excited for this book if I didn't have that, if that backup didn't exist and hadn't slightly soured me on this team and this book already, right? Because it's not that backup's bad, but I'm really struggling with it, and I feel like if it didn't exist and I hadn't read that at all, and then I saw this announcement, I'd be more excited.
I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think I feel soured. I'm excited for this because I think this will work. I'm sure it will work probably even if you hadn't read the backup. So
hopefully,
I think this will give Johnson room to breathe to actually establish all these ideas that he's trying to do, and we'll see from there. I'm not familiar with Montos, the artist.
No,
off the top of my head.
On those backups,
is it the same artist?
I'm 90% sure of that.
Oh, that art was pretty good then. Oh, so okay.
I gotta read. That's one of the books I didn't get to. So I gotta
I'll
get there.
try and
But
double check real quick.
the specter of this book is what got a person to say that I wasn't a real Green Lantern fan online months ago. So that was fun.
Not that
Just
Matt
double check.
holds grudges or anything like that.
No, famously not.
But I was like, why are you getting upset for a book that hasn't
Matt,
been announced
it's
yet?
fine. It's fine. It's okay. Some random dude on the internet months ago said something mean about you. It's okay.
I'm just saying they were getting
Matt,
upset.
have you been on the internet before?
Yes.
Are you
But
sure? Because you're taking this
just
very
don't-
personally.
Well, no, don't call me a fake Green Lantern fan because I think it's stupid. Yeah.
Matt, it's fine. Just cut it.
No.
Cut it. Okay.
No,
It's cut.
Deep breaths, Matt.
I'm just saying there's room for a Hal Jordan book and a John Stewart book. They don't have to both be Hal Jordan. All right.
Carter, what you said?
It is the same artist as the backup,
Okay.
so this feels like it's very much a direct continuation from that.
Okay.
Do I hold grudges? Y'all should know.
Oh, we know. We're just making fun of you for it, Matt. That's the
Yes, I
point.
know. Yeah, I'm a lot better than I used to be, believe it or not.
Matt in his early 20s must have been like a nuclear
Oh,
time
bro, you have no
bomb.
idea.
All right, so then we have Batman, Catwoman, the Gotham Mora Battle Lines, issue 1.
Guys, look, I'm gonna be honest.
$6.
I'm skipping this. I'm done.
I don't want to read this. After we've got 2 issues of Night Terrors and then a $6.
Yeah. I'll have enough Batman with tech and with the new Batman and Robin Williamson book, so we're okay.
It makes me laugh.
Smash cutting out of me going like, I can't believe I'm reading this.
Yeah.
Every time Matt says he's not reading something, he reads it.
Joe, it'll be a quiet week, and I'll be like, Matt, you should just read it because there's not a lot of books. We might as well have something to talk about. We could talk about how bad it is. And...
David, do you want to just timestamp this now?
so you
Make a
can...
note for in September.
Oh, shoot. I'm looking at what the next thing is, and I can't completely skip the event because of the creative team on the next book. So great.
What, you mean Batman, Catwoman, the Gotham Mora Red Hood issue 1?
Sorry,
Yes.
is Mike excited for a Red Hood book? What's happening?
I'm excited for the writer and the artist. So
Go ahead and pronounce the artist name for me, Matt. Go on.
I believe it's Chemeshka because I looked it up because
that
was
sounds
the
not bad.
that was the artist that did the Zatanna and Batman in Urban Legends.
Like, I'm just saying, if you've got 3 different accents over different letters of your name, I'm terrified of it. I'm not going to say it.
Yep. I think it's Chemeshka, which I look at some of those Czech names in hockey and you get good practice.
Yeah, Matt Rosenberg is the writer on this bad boy. And
2
then,
issue mini.
Yeah, they're all 2 issue minis, the tie-ins to this. I think
just making it clear in case this is the first one.
Yeah, Batman 137, of course, is the first Batman issue related to this crossover, and then also Catwoman 57, likewise. So
George Jimenez, why are you doing this to me? I love your art so much.
Jorge, Matt.
Or hey, I mean
George.
Sorry, I worked with a George that spelled it the same way. All right? It's George to me.
I actually did once as well, but then he later revealed that it's actually Jorge. He just tells everyone else George because he got sick of
It's
people
easy.
butchering it.
The only George I can think of that spells it that way is George from Halo Reach. A video game character. That's it. Everyone else, it's Jorge.
Yes. So what you're saying is that Bungie are hacks.
Yeah. I guess their own is future spellings have changed. Cultural mixings. No, but like cultural
It's like
mixings
Blade
in
Runner.
hundreds of years. Yeah.
So Blade Runner, where everyone speaks a combination of Korean, Spanish, and English.
That sounds a lot like Speed Force, bro. I ain't got to explain shit. That's what that sounded like.
I was saying it was an
future.
evolution of language and cultures mixing in 200, 300 years' time with global government.
Okay. The Penguin issue 2. This is the Tom King series that's coming. So very intrigued by that. And that appears to be the character that was introduced in Killing Time on that cover, Matt, unless I'm mistaken.
It does. Looks like the Help.
Yeah. So that's kind of exciting.
It does say that in the description as well.
Oh,
Yes,
very good.
there he is. For starters, the Help, the merciless stuff. Which is good because I like Killing Time. That might be my favorite Tom King Batman thing.
I thought you were going to say favorite Tom King thing. I was going to be like,
No.
I liked him, Matt, but really?
Sir, Human Target exists. Come on.
Yeah, he's got like 4 all-timers at this
I
point.
know. But no, between his Batman, it's between that and then the Mr. Freeze story with Bruce on the jury. That was strong as well. But yeah, just tease the help, and I'll probably read.
Yeah. I think you weren't going to read that anyway.
True.
Batman Brave and the Bold, issue 5. Notably, this has the 5th and final part of this, the Tom King story. The first Joker Batman conflict, which was the first part of was excellent. Like, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
I was going to read the first issue of this to start catching up on it this week, and then I saw how many pages it was and went, I'll read it later.
Well, I'll put this just for clarification, Connor. We didn't read anything past that first story.
Oh, okay.
We just read the Tom King story. And it's worth reading that story.
Standard length?
Yeah, it's about 20 pages or so.
Yeah.
Is it your Tom King or my Tom King worth reading?
Did you like the Riddler One Bad Day one shot?
More than a lot of his other stuff recently.
Then you'll like that.
Give it a try then.
All right.
I don't want to say anything about it, but just go in and go in with no what's the word? Not prejudices, but like anything that, like, if you're tired of the Joker, just put all that to the side. And just read it for the story. And
I did plan on reading it. It wasn't like I was going to skip it entirely. It was just a case of I saw the page count. I was like, I don't want to read that right now.
And I wanted to read the Superman story that was in one of the backups. So just that week there was not enough time. And
yeah. So no, I am looking forward to more of that.
Cover.
But what do we have here? Detective Comics 1074. So continuing Ram V's run.
What a cover! Like, I mean, let's be honest, most of the covers, but
this one especially. That's got some cool stuff going.
Yeah. We have Nightwing 106. Is that a big octopus I see on this cover?
it is. It's doing sea terrors, which means I'm going to love it.
So yeah, very good. Then we have Harley Quinn 32. We have Poison Ivy issue 14.
Hey, let's go.
Is that Bloom that's on the cover then?
Oh. Or it's Floronic Man, judging by how the last issue ended.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I just saw a flowery face and thought
it does say, it also says a brand new villain in the Poison Ivy.
Maybe it's a new villain then. Yeah. Then Wonder Woman issue 1, the Tom King series we know is coming, with art by Daniel St. Pierre. And we got Power Girl issue 1, which is kind of spinning out of those backups that Leah Williams did. She's writing this with Eduardo Pansica and Julio Ferrara on the art. So
it's getting a Gary Frank cover. All right.
As if Matt didn't want this book enough.
Right. I'm going to get it anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, but it probably just jumped to physical, I think.
Yes.
Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, issue 1. They announced this a while ago, but I'd forgotten about its existence entirely. So, nice to be reminded. Green Lantern, issue 3. Again, still has the backup, but I presume the backup will change soon after that issue to something else.
That, or it'll go down to not having one.
Possibly, which would be fine too.
Yeah.
Shazam issue 3, Mark Waid series with Dan Mora, of course.
Dan Mora continues
it's got
to be the
apes
Disney
in it.
What was that, Matt?
It's got apes in it. I'm excited.
Matt, you're such a simple man at times. Titans issue 3, Taylor and Scott.
I kind of hate we have to wait months now for issue 3.
I know.
That does not look good for Tempest.
well, I mean, there's definitely some stuff in this issue that feels a bit off with Tempest, so we'll talk about that later.
So I'm appreciating that Newsarama now it's I'm immediately able to see all the covers as of right now, but they don't have any of the variants.
They don't this month, no.
To click through, because I want to know what the Jim Bartel cover is.
It's possible they haven't been released to them.
That could be.
Yeah, but none of these things have variants, so maybe that's DC have changed their policy about what they release early, or who knows what.
Unless they've got a separate article on it for covers. They've done that in the past.
Cyborg issue 3 coming out. Then we have Superman issue 6.
That's a good cover.
Action Comics 1057. Also a pretty good cover, I would say.
Oof.
Yeah.
Just swinging.
Yeah, very pretty. I've been loving these Steve Beach covers for Action. I think they've been a nice, ever since he started doing them, I've just kind of liked them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all feel like poster quality, you know?
Yeah, really good stuff. Green Arrow issue 4 with Williamson. Then we have Hot Girl issue 3. We have got Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow issue 6, which is the final issue of that miniseries. Steelworks issue 4. We got Unstoppable Doom Patrol issue 6, which is not the final issue. I thought this was 6 issues, but it's 7 apparently.
Yeah.
So I'll take the extra one.
Yeah, so let's not complain about that.
No. If you want the October solicits to say 7 of 8 and keep it going, I'm not going to complain. So, DC's Ghouls Just Want to Have Fun issue 1. This is their annual October anthology special.
And this is the first week of October. They've just solicited it early for some reason.
Yeah. And I have to say it's mostly creators that I do not recognize. Like, I recognize Dexter Soy in the artist list, but there's a lot of names that I'm not recognizing from anywhere.
Yeah. But the story's on here, right? It says, Superman in prison by an unfriendly ghost, Man-Bat versus a werewolf, Mary Marvel and Dr. Psycho crashing a Halloween frat party. Seems like a lot of fun ideas.
Yeah. We got a new Black Label book that we heard about in the last couple of weeks, which is Batman Gargoyle of Gotham by Raphael Grampa, which does seem like it might be quite good.
And it says also there's a noir edition as well.
The
black and white.
Yeah. Now I'm looking forward, because honestly, Black Label have been pretty good as a line. I mean, they're quite few and far between these days, but when they do have one out, it does feel like a special book. So be curious to see that. Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor issue 2. This is the Waid book. This is issue 2 of 3, which I don't. It is actually Black Label. I was going to say I'm not sure if it's actually classified as Black Label, but it is.
Okay.
So, but it's prestige size issues. So we have Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker issue 5. We got Batman issue 1 facsimile edition. That can't be the first time that's had
a bunch of facsimile editions now.
But that can't be the first time that's had a facsimile edition. Like issue 1, I'm sure that's happened before.
Yeah.
It must have.
Well, is this the first one with the credit to Bill Finger, solo writing credit?
Maybe actually, yeah, maybe that's
pretty cool.
Part of the reason for it, yeah, that's cool. Detective Comics 58 facsimile, Flash 105 facsimile, Wonder Woman issue 1 facsimile.
Jeez.
Yes.
It's the Perez one.
Yeah, from the 80s. So, yeah. Then we got Batman Beyond Neo Gothic issue 3. We got Batman Incorporated issue 12.
Not a final issue?
Still not a final issue, apparently. Okay.
No, I mean, it doesn't say it's a final issue, so...
Yeah. Maybe Ghostmaker's a hit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but maybe. World's Finest issue 19 up next. With Riddler on the cover. Like a Riddler story.
It's a great cover.
Then we got City Boy issue 5, which has got some Swamp Thing on the cover.
Yeah.
That could be an interesting thing. It explores, City Boy and Swamp Thing is like, because he feels cities and senses them. Swamp Thing obviously feels nature and all that. So makes a lot of sense. Danger Street issue 9 with another fantastic cover here.
It is. Honestly, I thought that book was over already.
Oh, no. We've got...
No, it's 12 issues.
Yeah. So, no, very good. It's just basically a building, like a skyscraper, and there's like two people fighting on the roof. And they're too small to really see who they are. Maybe if I saw it in bigger size, I could tell. But they're being struck by lightning, and it's actually like messing up the text of the title.
Judging by the solicit, I'm going to guess it's Manhunter and Codename Assassin.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna...
Yeah, that's the most likely pairing based on the story so far anyway. But
well, it looks like they're fighting with swords or something at the top.
Yeah.
So...
we got Fables 161. We got Harley Quinn Black, White, and Redder issue 3. We have Looney Tunes 274, Mad Magazine 34. We got Peacemaker Tries Hard issue 5, Spirit World issue 5. We have Static Shadows of Dakota issue 7, which is the final issue of that book. We have Superman Lost issue 6, of 10, of course. Tales of the Titans issue 3 by Steve Orlando. We have the Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue 12, The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing issue 10, which is still going, really? Okay. We have Sandman Universe Nightmare Country, The Glass House issue 5. We have The Vigil issue 5, Wildcats issue 11, World's Finest Teen Titans issue 3, which I forgot that was a thing, but
yeah, me too.
That's probably because it's not started yet, and that's one thing we've got to look forward to in these Night Terrors months. We got this starting.
We got that. You got the Hawk Girl.
Yeah, Hawk Girl's starting in the next couple of months.
And I think there was one other thing we've mentioned in these solicits that must be still starting in the next couple.
Yeah, there's a few books
There's
still
at least
going.
one other, like issue 3.
Yeah, there's a few books that are still going as well throughout these couple of months. It's just none of the
Main ones.
like universe stuff. So that is just the collections, which I'll just run off quickly. You get Riddler Year 1, you got Sama Universe Dead Boy Detectives, you got Batman 3 Jokers, you got Static Shadows of the Dakota, Icon versus Hardware, Joker 1 Operation Joker Volume 2. We got Superman versus Meshi Volume 2. We have Batman Wayne Family Adventures Volume 2, Vixen NYC Volume 2, Superman Volume 1 Supercorp, Adventures of Superman John Kent, Superman The Warworld Saga, paperback of that.
That's a meaty paperback.
Yeah.
Yeah, 712
700 pages. That's hefty.
$60.
That's, to be fair,
Yeah, for 700 pages, that doesn't seem that
Yeah.
bad, Matt.
that's like
No,
what?
no, no.
seven-
No. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying for 700, that's a deal.
Yeah.
17 issues of action, couple of annuals, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 specials and a 2-issue mini. That's hefty.
Yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
hefty. It's basically an omnibus, an all but
Yeah.
name. Stargirl Lost Children. We got Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods. Absolute Dark Knight New Edition, which is both Dark Knight Returns and Dark Knight Strikes Again. Which has always felt a bit scummy to me. They're basically forcing people to pay for the one that no one wants, so they can
Yeah.
have Absolute Dark Knight.
It is, but it's not that much more expensive than other absolutes anyway.
I mean, that's fair, but it would be much cheaper though if it was only the 4 Dark Knight Returns issues. Because keep in mind, Dark Knight Strikes Again, isn't that like 12 issues or something like that?
No, it's just 4.
Is it just 4? Okay, they're big. They're big issues though, right? Because the trade I remember being quite thick for what it is. We're just going to awkwardly sit here whilst Connor looks at his
I
bookshelf.
don't know which shelf it's on. I have the Noir edition, which is quite hefty somewhere.
I think they're like 50-page issues, if I remember right. But
Probably it's like 500 pages for the 8 issues.
so anywho, we get Aquaman Andromeda, which I highly recommend everyone. Make sure you check out that. Gotham by Gaslight 2023 edition, Batman Reptilian new edition. That's the Garth Ennis book. Batman the Hush Saga omnibus. This is interesting actually. This is obviously the Hush story, but it's also all the Streets of Gotham stuff that involved Hush that Paul Dini did.
The Heart of
Interesting
Hush.
collection, but I like all that stuff a lot.
Yeah, no, so do I. If anything, I might like that stuff more than Hush itself, to be honest.
Hush
Well,
is,
because
Hush is not the best story. I think it's possibly the best beginner Batman story though. Like, as like someone's first Batman story, I think it's great for that because it's like, here's a rundown of a bunch of villains. It looks great. It's like, almost like their little greatest hits.
yeah, it was an excuse for Jim Lee to draw DC characters.
Yeah.
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 And it's a lot of fun, but it's not a great story.
And
overall.
I do like what it leads to, though.
Yeah.
Because I do like Hush as a character and the reveal of who it is, and then I like Heart of Hush even more.
Yeah, that's
I
in
like
here.
that a lot more.
Yeah, the Gotham Knight story or issues are in here. The Detective Comics, which is the Heart of Hush stuff, and then all the Streets of Gotham issues that kind of finished off all the Hush story at that time period.
Yeah.
And
So,
a brand new short story from Batman Hush 20th Anniversary Edition.
That's cool.
oh, very good. So no, that's an interesting collection. We got Catwoman Volume 3, Duchess of Gotham, DC New Frontier, the Deluxe Edition, New Edition, Ex Machina, the Omnibus, New Edition as well. So that's there. We got Fables, the Deluxe Edition, Book 16, GLA, GSA, Virtue and Vice, Commandy, Last Boy on Earth by Jack Kirby, Volume 2, Super Sons Omnibus Super Duper Edition, which is basically, this is a reprint because they did an omnibus before they did the second series, I think, and then they did an omnibus with everything, and this is a reprint of that omnibus with maybe a few extra bits and pieces. But
Has it got any of the newest stuff?
It has a story from Robin's 80th anniversary.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of weird that this of all the omnibuses I can think of that have been reprinted, this is the one that seems to have had more content put in it every time, making the previous versions kind of redundant.
Obsolete.
Yeah. Whereas, because normally it's, it's got a different cover, it's just a new print, and so it's available, but you're not missing out if you got the older version.
In some cases, you are better getting the new version because DC's bindings used to be awful.
Yeah, it's gotten
on their
better,
omnis.
but as far as the content goes, there's nothing
Yeah, there might be
separate most of
better
them.
quality bindings now, but the content's mostly the same on the vast majority of them.
Whereas this one, it feels like every time it's been like, no, this is like a Game of the Year edition where you get the extra bits and pieces that weren't included before.
It feels like they kind of rushed that first one out.
Yeah. Superman for All Seasons getting a new printing, so that's there. Superman Unchained, Deluxe Edition, new printing. Detective Chimp Casebook, Human Target Volume 1, softcover. I assume that already had a hardcover.
Must have done.
Yeah, Titans United Blood Pact, Waller vs. Wildstorm, hardcover, Wonder Woman Evolution, and that wraps up the September solicits.
Bada bing.
Oof, that was a lot.
Hefty solicits.
There's a lot. There's a few interesting new things in there, though, which is always nice to see.
More importantly, there was no nightmares.
Were you even here for the last 2 months of solicits?
Yeah, I was here for the second month.
Oh,
of
okay.
nightmares. Yeah.
All right. That was definitely a quicker solicits, though, because I also just listed the names because there was no point in talking about them again.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, here's all the books that are coming. Just remember these. On you go. Yeah. So there you go. That's what's coming in September. So yeah. But that'll do that. Do you know it's kind of warm today. It was actually quite nice for the last like 3 or 4 days, but I'm feeling quite warm right now.
It's more than warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might crack 100 today here.
Yeah, that sounds like hell.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what that is in real degrees, but
Like 40, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Hell.
40, a number that we've never hit is basically.
Hey,
Yeah.
we did last year.
Well, London did, so that Scotland did.
Yeah, but that's okay, but that's still like you say, collectively, we in this country, that's huge. We'd never hit 40 before.
Yeah. So
I was at like 38 point something. But it was awful.
Right now outside my house, it's in your degrees 33.
Hell.
So it's quite nice today.
that may be the peak of what I've ever felt here, and that's not something we get every year. Is 33.
Oh, you get used to it.
Well, we've not been anywhere close to that recently. The hottest has been.
Were you not there last year?
Maybe that day it hit 40 in London, but that was it.
Yeah, we were at 33 to 38 for that entire like 10-day stretch.
But I mean, like typically the high, like today's hitting like 24, and that's the highest it's pretty much hit this year.
Oh no, we had 28 the other day, and that was awful. Like last week.
Oh, it's always harder for you than it is for me, and I relish it because you're more miserable.
I hate it so much. It's been 26 here today, and it's been awful.
Luckily, it doesn't go higher than 19 for me for the next like week and a half after today.
I have 26 again tomorrow.
Suck it.
It's so bad. I can see Matt being all smug, being like 26, but oh man, 26 here is it's brutal.
So I was in Halifax and it was 78 degrees. So that's probably what in your guys is about. I'm trying to remember what they said.
Does Canada use Celsius?
Huh? They do, but I was going off of my phone. So
78 it is.
I'm going to say
25
it's like
and a half.
25, yeah.
Okay.
So, but it was like 88% humidity, and so I'm not used to that.
Yeah,
so
we've been at
tough.
65% humidity today with 26 degrees, and that's been not ideal.
So
the worst part is like I get home from work, it's like 2-3 a.m. It's like a nice cool like 12 to 13 degrees outside. It's really nice, and then I get in the front door, and it's so hot. And I look at the thermostat that tells me the temperature in the room, and it's like 27 degrees. It's just awful. My front room has not been below 24 degrees in like 2 weeks, and it's horrible. There is nothing I can do to get it any cooler.
Well, that's the fires of hell of which Connor has earned somehow.
You'll be here soon.
somehow.
Yeah, but if I'm regularly hitting that temperature, it means you're regularly hitting like 35, so that's fine.
I hate you.
Always come here, Connor. You'll incinerate.
Oh, that's why I'm not going. I can't cope with that.
What we should do is, remember when David Blaine did that thing in London where he just in the glass box for like
I do remember
a
that,
month,
yeah.
right? We should do that with Connor, but in Vegas, right? So it's the desert
I will
heat.
be dead within 18 hours.
The desert heat.
He would be Ash.
We'll call it a ginger in a box. And
Ginger
Also, we can't.
Bones.
Yeah, but we couldn't actually put him like near air flight because the sun would come off of his ginger skin like a mirror.
It'd be a light. It'd be a beam of light, and it would.
Yeah.
The planes would start thinking it was a landing strip
Ding.
nearby.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. It's been kind of nice. Playing football this morning was a little bit warm, stale outside, so that wasn't fun.
All right, let's get into the comic books for the week then. We'll start with Wonder Woman issue 800, which is in two parts. The first 2/3 are a story from the current team that are ending their run, and the last third is the new Tom King sort of tease for his run with the introduction to Trinity. So I started reading the first story, and then kind of got what it was doing with like jumping through dreams, and then I just kind of skimmed through the rest of it because I didn't really want to read it.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, just to sum it up from what I got was it's doing that kind of special anniversary issue thing where it's just a reason for Wonder Woman to have like a one-on-one talking about the meaning of being a hero to the various Wonder Girls. You know, so it's Yara.
Extended Batman point.
Yeah, there's a Yara, and then it's Donna, and then it's Cass. And then it's the Trinity, so it's, you know, Batman and then Superman.
Yeah, so I got up to the point where I saw the pearls, and I was like, no, I'm not doing the pearls in a Wonder Woman book.
Fun fact I learned about the pearls in general is like actual, like, you know, expensive pearl necklaces. They tie knots between each pearl, so if it does snap, you don't lose all of them. You'll only lose like.
So are you saying that Thomas Wayne cheaped out for Martha?
I kind of am, yeah.
I actually know what I think is that was a change in the industry after the murder of the Waynes.
It's
we can't
because
have
of the
that.
Waynes.
It was bad for business. Everyone seeing
But
that.
so I got to that, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not. So I started skimming. I'm like, what's this Jen Bartel art with Superman and Wonder Woman? So I stopped and I read that stuff, and that was
Of course you
that was
did.
nice. Yeah, nice sentiment
immediately
there.
I was like, oh, but like there was like two artists in this. Where I was like, obviously the first one was Joel Jones because you knew immediately.
And that was the other thing as well is that each of the dreams, because Wonder Woman's asleep and she's dreaming all these scenarios. Like everyone.
Well, she's healing in some Themyscirian cave.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's I had no idea what was going on with that because I stopped reading by the time they explained any of that. But but like for each of these dreams, there's a different artist for each one, so it's an excuse to have all these different artists. And they do, you know, there's a sweet thing at the end of the Batman one where it's like Bruce actually wakes up and realizes that Wonder Woman was in the same nightmare he has every night of his parents dying. Wonder Woman showed up and was actually there for it, so whatever. But I wasn't that interested, partly because I haven't been reading that run, but also just because it felt like the typical, oh, this is a milestone issue, we have to have a fluffy story where it's just an excuse to talk to all the main characters kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it was that bad. It just
No, it wasn't the worst. I just wasn't that interested in reading it.
Yeah.
What we're really here for, though, was the start of the next run, or at least the tease for it, which is the Tom King and Sam Peer stuff.
Yeah, AKA, don't we have enough Wonder Girls already?
Yes.
Well, this is Wonder Woman in the future, like. Because I guess that's the question: is are we going to get Trinity in any form in present day?
Yes.
So King has said that the reason that they started it with Trinity is because they're going to build to her character.
Sure.
So I don't know if he means like she'll actually show up, but there's going to be. I think maybe by the end of his run, Wonder Woman has a daughter. Now it might not be this fully grown, right? But,
of course, especially since
I think it'll be within 12 issues.
I mean, Carr just wants to be cynical. I think from the sounds of it with John and Damien talking, it sounds like she was always younger than them. Like they were babysitting her when they were like already at their age.
Yeah, because they feel fully formed, like almost like their parents' age now, and she's significantly younger.
She is, and I'm assuming it's another Sand/Clay baby.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's happening, which is why when I say, within 12 issues, I don't think that was being particularly cynical.
Do you mean fully formed Trinity, or do you mean as a child, like
I just meant the tone of the way you said it, to be honest. You sounded cynical.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mean it. I think I'll be shocked if it goes that long without them introducing. I think them putting it here in this preview is like it's a statement of no, she's going to feature pretty heavily.
Well, she obviously is, but it's very clear from this preview that there's going to be a framing device. Like the main story we're going to get in the run is going to be a story that she is hearing from this mysterious villain who's telling her how Wonder Woman beat him. Right? That's what they set up here by the end, right?
Yeah.
So the story of this is that we've got John and Damien, and John's like basically wearing his dad's Superman outfit, minus the red trunks, though I will point out. But otherwise, he's basically just wearing the Superman outfit now. Damien's got his big collar. He's Batman.
666 outfit.
Yeah. And Trinity shows up, and they're basically doing these trials to get to some prisoner, and it was something that they promised Wonder Woman they would never do. So they're breaking rules of their parents to and
they're breaking the word,
for whatever reason. And it's all about getting to this villain who she does refer to as Your Majesty, which maybe is a tease for who it could be. No one sprang to my mind immediately, but
I mean, first thought was Zeus, but it doesn't seem to fit Zeus.
No, I wouldn't say so. So, this is teasing what the story is going to be. It seems like, whatever story happened in the past that led to this villain being imprisoned is going to be the main story. But we'll probably get glimpses of this part of it where she's talking to him sprinkled throughout, I would imagine.
Right. And so she has to get John and Damien, who she refers to as her older brothers, which I do like, because it shows that family dynamic. But that each of them, there's a trial, right? And kind of reminiscent of the first Harry Potter book. Right. Kind of, yeah. And so, the first one is pain. So, they're all talking about who's going to do what. And Trinity's just like, no, if you guys don't want to decide, I'll decide for you. So she has John do the pain where he grabs the statue's hand and it puts him in this endless loop, but he has to hold on so they can get through the door. And then they drop through the second level, and Damien, what was it? That was
Skill.
And it's skill. And he has to battle the goddess of victory, Nike. And of course, Damien's like, oh, this was supposed to be hard.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is fun. And then she gets down, so it's on her, and she has to face her mother.
I'm a little disappointed King didn't put in the phrase "just do it" at some point in that.
Yeah, right.
Battle.
Right.
It was on the table. It was right there.
And he's playing with that sort of dialogue, like the bit when they're going in.
Yeah.
And Damien's like, I know Greek. And John's like, no, you don't. Because I could learn Greek. And it's like, anyone could learn Greek.
Right. Well, and it's their dynamic that we love with John and Damien still. And they're adults and they're still doing that, right? But so Trinity faces, it's Honor is the last one. And it's someone appearing as Diana saying that they're disappointed for doing this. But Trinity eventually knows, like, you're not my mother. And she has a black lasso. Right, because the Diana that's there is like,
not only that, she mentions later a trinity of lassos. So we're going to have three.
That's what I was getting to, right?
We see she's got a black, a silver, and a gold one.
Yeah,
the gold one being the traditional one.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to finding out specifically what the other two do.
Yep. Well, because the black one does seem associated with death instead of truth, right? Like it's she goes to that one because this Diana goes, well, you should know better that my lasso won't work on me. And she goes, well, it's not you and it's not gold. Right, and that's where you see the black come out, and she strangles her and drops her there. And that's where she gets to the prison.
It's definitely an interesting tease from from the perspective of introducing new mythology for Wonder Woman, saying that there's different types of lassos that we're going to kind of weave a story around and have them all be connected in some way.
Right,
that's interesting. Like I think that's a
well, they're the fates, so she calls them the lassos of fate. And you have to know there's the three fates, right?
Well, I said the names. She's not like the Golden Perfect, right?
Right.
Do they all have like a separate name?
Well, I called it the Trinity of Lassos because obviously three of them is intentional because her name's Trinity, and they're going to. I imagine the number 3 is going to come up a lot in the course of writing for this character.
And 3 in magic in the occult, 3 is a very powerful number, right? You have the rule of 3.
3 then 7.
Right. So, and you know what? She did say she's the leader of the Justice League. And there's usually 7, right?
She casually dropped that reference, yes.
Yeah. So, and no, she does. She weirdly feels like a child of the Trinity, just, even to go with the name, because she has some of the some of the Clark stuff, some of the Bruce aspects. It's not just Diana.
Yeah.
So she almost feels like the kid that was raised by the Justice League at this point.
So I will, there's been kind of something that we've not brought up yet, which is the character herself and talking about her. And I think I will say I do have a nitpick here to pick with her dialogue, which is I get what Tom King's going for, but I think he might be slightly overdoing the I don't know, I guess the smart ass. Yeah, like she's doing a lot of like smart ass talk where she's kind of like speaking kind of intentionally kind of weird, and she's like she. I guess like it fits into the modern sensibilities of how a lot of movies are written these days, with characters being extra witty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't I actually quite like characters talking like that in comics, but I do think it feels like King's never written a character like this before, and it feels like he's turning it up to 11 because he doesn't know how to like where the line should be.
I think the only way this works, and maybe this will work more in context because obviously we've not seen that much of her now. Yeah. She's very cocky, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this only works for me, this tone, if they probably shouldn't be as cocky as they actually are.
Yeah, okay.
But like the fact that they're going, oh, well, she's the leader of the Justice League, and, she's doing all these things really relatively easily, seemingly. It's kind of me like maybe she should be this cocky. And then it just comes off as an ego. In this, this dialogue, it comes off as egotistical instead of being that overcompensating. And it makes me like it less. Well, maybe when we see more of it, and maybe it's all a bit of a front, I think I like it more in that sense.
Yeah, because it's very opposite of Diana, right? Diana's very
humble,
demure. She keeps, she there's a poise to her always.
It definitely feels like Trinity grew up more associated with man's world, because she's, Diana speaks the way she does largely because she grew up separate from the rest of the world, and she speaks more proper, and it's more, influenced
formal.
Formal. That's a good word. Whereas this sounds like a character who is going to make a lot of pop culture references, and who is like wording things in a way that because she's heard a funny character say it that way in a TV show or something like that.
Even has her saying like super duper.
Yeah. Like there's just a lot of little things like that. At one point she says like, I can't remember even what she was talking about, but she says something like a ton, and it came off as very like, oh, she's adding a lot of flavor into her dialogue. Or Tom King's adding a lot of flavor into her dialogue, I should say.
Right.
And that's fine. It kind of reads like how I expect maybe like a Stephanie Brown to sometimes sound, like with a lot of, extra trash talk for flavor. But I do think King's not written a character like this before. It sounded very un-Tom King, and I think maybe this is maybe a bit of a growing pain of that he's just not done a character like this before.
Yeah.
And it sounded like he was overcompensating by having too much of it.
Well, it's kind of, we don't talk about that book, but Heroes in Crisis, his Harley, I remember us feeling the same way. That his Harley was kind of like that too. It's not a gear that King has, because the way that he writes isn't like that.
I appreciate that he's trying something different to his norm with her.
Right. Well, and it makes her stand out against Diana too, because you just don't want to carbon copy, So
yeah,
I have the mild conceptual issue of. Right, another successor to Wonder Woman, right? That we haven't had enough of those over the years. That can't we try?
Yeah, and I think maybe one of the legitimate things you could say along with that is that this personality, like, it's not a million miles from Yara. Yara's got kind of like a wise ass attitude.
Cassie.
Yeah,
I think
Cassie kind of grew into that though.
Right, but I think if you take a slightly older Cassie, age her up to be alongside the same, as John and Damian are here. I don't think this is a million miles away from what you could expect from her personality at that point.
Right.
Like, the book ended up not being that good after a few issues, but it is kind of a shame that Yara's just been kind of thrown under the bus here. And I get, like, the sad reason for it is that because somewhere along the way, someone said, yeah, but wouldn't it be cooler if all three of the future Trinity were all the kids of the previous Trinity? And Yara was this, like, she didn't fit that mold, because John and Damian are the kids of Batman and Superman. Right. They wanted the kid of Wonder Woman to be the Wonder Woman.
I really dislike it as a trend in not just in comics but in media.
Oh this is
the favored bloodline, right?
This is the somehow a Palpatine returns. It's just
they have to be a Skywalker. It's like I'm sick. What was wrong with all the other other found family members that we had before?
Right,
there's a point where like Damian almost gets away with it slightly because he was the first one, but like he by definition then shoves Dick, Tim, no one cares about Jason, but Jason, he kind of shoves them to one side and is like, I'm the Bat now.
Which I think
John,
I think works for him though, because he actually like almost intentionally has that attitude where he's like, "No, you move aside because I'm the son of the bat."
It's a combination of that attitude and him being the first one. Kind of, he's like, okay, you get the pass.
But I don't think that for the audience though. I don't think it has moved the others aside. Like, I think especially now he's been treated properly. But like I think for us, Dick was always still seen as like part of what makes Dick and a lot of the other Bat families so special is because they are found family members. They're not just by blood. They are.
Well, and I felt that's where Yara worked in the grand scheme of the Amazons, right? She's a new one. She's from man's world, so it was a little twist on Diana's, right? So she's doing it in reverse now, right? She's of man's world, but she's discovering the mythological realm instead of vice versa.
And with the
was a good
the other Wonder Girls, I think it's okay with Donna now because Donna's got a role on the Titans in the same way as Nightwing does, right? There's that level there.
Yeah, I think it's Cassie's. I mean, not just Cass on her own, but I think that entire generation of character. Because Tim's had this problem recently as well, where Tim feels kind of lost in the shuffle.
Connor,
yeah,
I mean,
they all feel a bit lost in the shuffle. Those characters,
and as I said, like John has again, it's arguably slightly less of a problem again, still more than it was with Damien, but less than this because again, okay, it wasn't every single one of them, but I think to be fair, Connor had been forgotten about for a long time before that anyway. But it's like we've got characters ready and waiting already to fill this role.
But and weirdly though, when you look at Flash, because Legacy's always been so much about, right? Bart doesn't feel as lost, even though he was gone for a while too. It doesn't feel the same as his generation.
And I think like with the Flash family,
I would say comparatively, like it does compare to Wally. Like
compared to Wally,
Wally,
compared to Wally. But if you look at like who the Flash is represented that is Wallace, right? I don't feel like they would push Bart aside.
Well, yeah, Wallace is a bit different though. But I'm saying if you think about how Tim feels to Dick, regardless of like who you prefer or whatever, but just in terms of like importance and like how much time they get and how much important stories they get, Tim to Dick and Bart to Wally right now, there's a similar kind of feeling between them in terms of ratios.
Yeah.
Tim's probably a little bit better off in the last couple of years, but before that, it's just I think it's the sort of thing where I'm not against adding new characters by any means, but it feels so soon after Yara, because Yara was only the start of last year. Yara is a new character. And they kind of fluffed a little bit, like her book. I think it wasn't that great, and then it got cancelled quite early, and so it's kind of left her in this weird limbo. But they clearly don't want us to figure out about her either, because they've put her in, the 800 story. This very issue, and I say, and I don't quite get why we feel the need to create this character when we've got Yara or Cassie to choose from to kind of do this story with.
Well, I think, but you guys are onto it that it's that the one true bloodline thing.
Yeah, which is
they want
conceptually dislike.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's annoying to me, but at the same time, if you forget all that and you look at the character on her own, like I think there's potential here. I think she's overwritten in this first little story, but that could just be growing pains.
It's one of those things that in a vacuum, she's a perfectly fine character. I don't think she has as strong an introduction as Yara did.
No,
in terms of just recent introductions like that. But in a vacuum, there's nothing wrong with this introduction.
There is a very good chance, though, but by the time we get, like, say, 12 issues or so, and that she'll have a much stronger story than Yara ever did, once it's actually played out.
Yeah.
But, and I wonder if he consulted, because I know Tom King and Joel Jones are really close friends, right? Like, that was a whole thing during his Batman run when she came on to do the art.
It wouldn't surprise me if, we do get Yara and Cassie, like, popping in for, the supporting characters in the run.
Something. But I wonder if he consulted with Joel Jones at all about that, because it did remind me of Yara's introduction. And it's that same, they kind of are filling the same void of this is the opposite of Diana. And so
and more importantly,
very weird.
Yara was also introduced in Future State as the Wonder Woman of the Trinity that John and Damien will make up. And now this is saying, nah. Now it's now Trinity is the Wonder Woman of the Trinity of John Damien and their Wonder Woman.
Well, and Future State was also trying to set up John and Yara as a power couple, and nothing ever came. You know? So because Taylor came in and decided to do a different thing that I think works even better, right? So by giving him a supporting cast that's not another superhero supporting cast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixed feelings here, even though There's nothing that
I-
wrong with this.
No, I
introduction.
like the story. I wouldn't say I like Trinity as a character yet, because again,
There's not enough to get a grasp.
there's
on.
not enough to get on there. But her relationship with John and Damien, though, I thought that was the strongest part of this little story.
Honestly,
I'm more looking forward to her being a younger kid and seeing the stories of John and Damien looking after her, because I think I'm kind of more interested in seeing those two than I am in seeing her. But I think them having that responsibility between them could be fun.
Their little comment about babysitting her, and I think John says, Damien says, we were too easy on her, as a kid, and John's like, what? Not taking her to like the Killer Croc fight was being easy on her. I'm like, oh, you know what? I kind of want to see like a little mini series of them babysitting young Trinity now when they're whatever age. So like if Damien's like say 15 and John's like 20, whatever the age gap is at that point. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, and that's what helps. She is a clay baby, forming her. You don't have to get the toddler phase, right?
That's true. If she's a clay baby, we can kind of jump her to like 6 or whatever, or
right. And
I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do. Yeah.
But I do like their relationship. The fact that they're standing there on that beach waiting for her to show up, and she's late, and the other one goes, but she's always late. We know this. Like, is she really late? If we know she's gonna be late, there was that dynamic between them that and her that I do like. But yeah, it was good. I mean, Sam Pierre's art's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I like the colors on it, particularly like in the stuff towards the end in the prison cell. Like the lighting is really strong.
Yeah, and just like whoever is in there too, the way that the shadows hit.
Any other guesses on who it might be? Because
I had none.
The only ones I can think of are Zeus and Black Adam.
Yeah.
Your Majesty could be Black Adam. I do
they mentioned King, yeah.
I do like the idea that it's not a Wonder Woman character. I do actually quite like that idea. Like, let's say if it was like it wouldn't be Aquaman, but like maybe like a Zebel King or something.
I was gonna say Aquaman because but that plays on Flashpoint, and I don't want to remember that.
I don't think it's actually Aquaman, but I'm just wondering if it could be like an Atlantean king of some kind, or whatever it may be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And who is a big enough threat that you have to lock them away with this elaborate system?
Elvis.
Yeah, right. Well, we all know he's at the old folks home, Pete.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
he's with JFK fighting off mummies. Yes.
Yes.
And he's having fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. But anyways,
happy birthday to Bruce Campbell, by the way, just turned 65. Actually, Joe had a birthday today. I never knew this until today, but both Peter Weller and Nancy Allen have a birthday in the same day.
Really?
So, bit of trivia for you.
Wow.
For you youngins out there, that's the 2 stars of RoboCop.
Yeah. Yep. So.
All right.
Yeah.
I suppose we'll rate this. I mean, I think we're just really rating the King story because we all just kind of skim through the first one, but I think we should rate the main one we read. So what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 7.
Connor?
Yeah, probably a 7 from me as well. I don't think I can justify anything higher.
Yeah, I can agree with a 7. I think we'll swim in 7s with that one. So cool. Superman issue 5, Joshua Williamson writing with Jamal Campbell on the art. So after 2 mixed issues of things that opinions.
I'd say I had to catch up on the previous issue.
Oh yes.
I am significantly worse than mixed on that one.
I hated the Lex Luthor stuff in the last issue.
I hated the Lex Luthor stuff, and also there was a page of like, oh hey, all these adventures, all these things that we've done together, and it was like 4 panels. I'm like, each one of those should have been a standalone one-shot issue, and I would have enjoyed every single one of those more.
I think we said the same thing, Pete. Right? Like,
yeah, just Williamson has this tendency to have nice ideas, but then rush through them so much that none of them get a chance to actually breathe.
Upon this issue, I'm starting to think that Lex story was a lie. I think he was working with them, and he realized how far they were going to go, and he's not. And then that's what led to him, doing whatever he did. I don't think he was a Lex hero. That's
better, but we'll get into the nitty gritty. Yeah. I think just to start off, I will say I like this issue more. I think this issue worked better. It was, by and large, it was the story of how Silver Banshee and Jimmy started dating. I thought all that stuff was sweet enough and worked well enough. the fight obviously looked great. Silver Banshee, like the idea of like our streams being represented with all these
ghosts from the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. I thought the issue did a good job of like building up to its payoff, which is effectively that Silver Banshee, when they take her down, she screams so loud that she actually pops Clark's ears, and his super hearing's gone for like not even a long time. Like they say at the lab, it'll be a couple days and it'll be back. It's not a big deal, but it all builds up to Lex being in trouble later, and Lex has been talking to him throughout these issues, and at the end of the issue he's basically begging Superman for help, and Superman can't hear him, so Lex potentially is going to think that Superman ignored his cries for help, and that might draw a bit of a villainous rift between them once again. I thought that was well set up, and it paid off, and it made sense to me.
I legit gasped when I got to that page, because I'm not thinking like I know Lex has been talking to him the whole time, right? But when Clark talks that he's actually able to enjoy the concert at the end because his super hearing's not activated.
Yeah.
So he says I can't hear anything, but what he means is anything outside of the room that he's in, right? So he's able to focus on the moment at hand, and then it cuts to Lex in the prison, and it gets super Breaking Bad with him, with what happens to him. And yeah, I legit gasped, because that's a nice turn. Because again, like Pete pointed out, Lex is going to think that Superman was ignoring him because he doesn't know Superman's hearing has been blown out.
Yeah, I thought that worked really well, because as soon as like he started to be in trouble, and he actually, because it's got the green bubble around it whenever he's trying to talk to him through the watch or whatever.
Yep.
I was like, oh, they've set this up well enough that I immediately get that he's not going to be heard. And I thought, okay, that was well executed. I understand that it means something for this ending.
Yep.
So I think as far as issues goes, this is probably the best issue of this book since issue 1. Because
agreed.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same, because I was reading it last night and I wasn't like, usually I'll save Superman for last because that's my guy. But I was like, I'm going to save it. I'll read this before Titans and Nightwing. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, wait, am I just in a better mood because I didn't hold this off for last, or was this really that good? So it makes me feel good that you guys agree that.
I don't think it's like a knock out of the park.
No,
like,
but compared to the last issues that we've had,
yeah, I think it's not good enough to like redeem the last few issues. But if this had been issue 2, like this quality, I think would be probably more positive on it. Well,
and also the title of this one was called "The Power of Love," which immediately set me into Huey Lewis in the News.
Yeah, I mean, because I quite liked issue 3, which was like the cities like all turned into parasites. My big problem with issue, that was issue 2. My big problem with issue 3 is that it wrapped that up super quick and felt like it didn't do anything with it, and that upset me. And then all the Lex stuff last issue, I really didn't like. This issue, I think, because it focused on this, it had a focus. It was okay. It's about Jimmy and Silver Banshee. It's about that he wants to help save her, and we get the fun bit where he's got the jetpack from the Supercorp people, and that's a great panel. Like,
and she's singing about bow ties.
She's singing about bow ties. Like, it was very focused. It told its story. It had a bit of a heart to it, but also a little bit of a fun hijinks side to it, because Jimmy's got a jetpack. That's a bit silly. So I think
and it's very Jimmy Olsen, right? Because they're going over when they first meet, and after she gets revealed that she's Silver Banshee, he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I turned into a turtle once," and then that was the genesis of her pet name for him, of Turtle Boy, And so there's just these very little sweet moments in there. So when he does tell Superman, like, "No, how much does that jetpack hold?" Right, like he's coming along for this, and it's earned. It's not just Jimmy tagging along. So
yeah, and they also reminded us that this Pale Moonlight rider,
Marilyn Moonlight,
that was the one.
It was really jarring. She just shows up for one panel, does like nothing.
Technically 2 panels. You see over the shoulder in the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
it's definitely a tease.
Yeah,
it's a tease that I don't think was needed.
Yeah, I mean,
well, no, but I'm used to him doing this because he does this in his creator and stuff a lot, where he'll just to remind you of a certain character.
I mean, I think it works in the context for me because the character, like Lois is talking about how there's a lot of weird things that have popped up recently that need answers, and it chooses that time to like show her again. So it's like, hey, this is one of the main weird mysteries that we've set up, so it's coming.
I think it would have been more effective just to focus on having the moonlight in shot.
Oh, sure.
We're talking about this and have it be a representative thing, as opposed to just let's cut to her watching.
I'm
She's
all
just sitting in the moon watching.
You don't have to sell me the idea of being more subtle. I always enjoy more subtle, but like
I wouldn't mind if she had literally any dialogue, anything to do, anything beyond she's sat there watching for 2 panels.
I mean, I get it. I mean, but again, this nail biter, constantly the butcher showing up in the background like this as almost an ominous. This didn't feel
See, that's like
ominous.
a horror thing, right? Of like, oh, he's always there in the background. It's just waiting for the moment.
Yeah, true.
A different vibe.
Maybe his tones are just, he can't alternate as well.
Yeah, well, I think it would also mean more if we had more context for who she was yet. But right now, she is just, she's a weird looking,
It's constantly like, oh, she's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah,
and we know that she can supercharge Superman.
Yeah, right now she's just a complete question mark. Whereas if we had like a little understanding of her motives or what she was maybe trying to do, it would maybe mean something when we see her. But right now we don't.
I just don't think we need a reminder of this every single issue. I think it's okay to go one issue without having to have these 2 panels.
To be fair, I don't think they mentioned it last issue, did they?
No.
Did they not?
I feel like it's been since she showed up in Supercharged them. I don't think we've seen her since then.
With the caveat, I did read these 2 issues back to back, so I may be mixing up, misremembering. So I may be misremembering this moment and conflating it with something.
Because
she hasn't been in a while.
Yeah, when she popped up, I was like, "Oh, it's been a while since we've seen her." I don't think we've seen her since she popped up.
Was it not the issue before they were talking about trying to find her, like get more information on her?
Maybe they mentioned her in conversation.
I think they mentioned her because Clark asked Lois about Marilyn Moonlight, and then he talks about the boardwalk.
Was that was issue 4, right? That wasn't this one.
That wasn't this one.
3.
Yeah.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't 3 because it was definitely one I read.
3?
Yeah, I guess that was maybe early on in the last issue then. But we definitely hadn't seen her though since the last time she popped up to help him because
no, but I'm including them just kind of bringing her up in conversation as a reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I generally liked this one a lot more because it felt a lot more focused. It had a bit of a heart, and it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it shortchanged me on any of its ideas, which is the biggest problem I'm having consistently with Williamson's writing. Is that here's an idea, oh that sounds good, oh it's over already.
Yeah, no, he really wanted to get into the Jimmy and Silver Banshee thing, and the whole point of her running away because if they'll kill everybody I love, if I don't love you, right? But that statement ends up being that she does love him because she's making the choice.
Yeah,
it was all actually it's played out very well.
Did anyone else think it was just a little bit weird that they moved in together before they said "I love you"? That feels like the wrong way around to me, but.
I don't know, what are the youngsters doing nowadays?
I feel like you admit you love someone before you move in. That feels like the way around those steps is supposed to go.
That depends how much you need to save on rent.
Right.
True, maybe they're struggling, then it's more of a convenience thing.
Well, I mean, did they mention that they moved in, or was she just staying over there?
No, they mentioned
No, she moved in.
Yeah.
Okay.
He calls her roomie.
Because he's moving all his stuff in, and she's like, there's a lot of toys in here.
That's right.
And he's like, it's too late now.
That's right.
Yeah, so they moved in. Yeah.
Well, real quick, Connor, what kind of band do you think the Banshees of Metropolis are?
Oh, post-punk.
Post-punk, okay.
100%.
Gotcha.
ABBA.
Just look at them.
ABBA. Which reminds me of William Carlson's Parade. So, because he was singing Dancing Queen, which is, as we know, the national anthem of Sweden.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So one of our players is Swedish, and during the Stanley Cup parade, he got completely slammered and
absolutely
was singing,
blasted.
Yes, it was just singing Dancing Queen
while being held up by a teammate.
Yes, so that definitely tracks. I mean, but I don't know, the Banshees seem harder edge than that. But I love Silver Banshee as a character. I can't remember which Supergirl series it was in, but it was where maybe it was New 52, where her and Kara become roommates.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it gave me a whole new fascination.
Because that was the bit where... Is that the bit where she could learn languages?
I think so.
I'm sure it was around that time.
I think so, but I just remember her coming in as just Siobhan, and it's revealed that she has this family curse of the Banshee, and she tries to push Kara away, but Kara won't, and then she ends up becoming she's not even an anti-hero. She just is, the curse as a conflict, because she doesn't even fight any of the supers, and I had a new fascination with the character, and I feel like this is more akin to that one. Whereas
I think I retract my ABBA joke. I'm going to swap in Bee Gees, because now I'm picturing Jimmy Olsen walking down like Saturday Night Fever and adjusting his bow tie as you
Yeah.
know.
That
you know,
works.
Imagine staying alive, but with bow tie, bow tie, bow tie, bow tie.
There it goes.
Like,
maybe that was the song they're playing at the end.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, but just their whole dynamic is something I really enjoy because it is different, and I feel like with Superman, I feel like it's Superman and Flash rogues that you can really do the sympathetic thing really well. Right?
Yeah, it depends on the character for sure. Yeah,
I think especially with Superman, you often have to.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he just beats them to a pulp. Like the ones that aren't like, alien uber strong. You've got to have the interesting way of talking them down. Otherwise, Superman would just take them out.
Right, and that's why Philip Kennedy Johnson's Mongol stood up so well, right? Because he's not redeeming like at all. There's nothing there that you want to.
Because he's the big physical threat that can just be a complete dickbag, and it's fine that we can beat him up.
But yeah, for me, Silver Banshee's definitely one where I just like, she works good as sometimes maybe, like here, she gets manipulated into having to fight Superman, and she's a little bit overpowered, like especially here, right? But at the end of the day, she's still, she doesn't want to have to fight Superman.
Yeah, I think that's also why it's interesting whenever Joker and Superman cross paths, is because like Joker just like he can't be talked to, like he's completely erratic. That's the point of Joker.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to just take him out because extreme force.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea too. I forget where I read it, but there's some story that Joker does try to deal with Superman, but he doesn't find Superman interesting to mess with like he does with Batman. So there's that dynamic that he has to have because Batman plays along with Joker more than Superman, who would just show up and,
just put a stop to it. Yeah.
Just put a stop to it.
I don't know if it's so much plays along with. It's just that because he doesn't have all these extra abilities, he has to go through the gauntlet the Joker sets up for him.
Right. So, but yeah, no. And then here in this issue, the double date with Lois and Clark, I thought that was all really nice too, because Williamson is taking his time, right? We're not just whipping through to the next thing. So,
and that's one particular issue, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the ending works. I think the ending with Lex is set up well. That you get what it's doing before it kind of makes its point, and I think that feels quite good because it's set up properly. So I appreciate that. Obviously, Campbell's art's very good. I think that panel with Jimmy flying with the jetpack with Superman flying next to him looks really, really nice.
Well, I like when they show up with the sonic disruptors. They're these big old guns from Supercorp. And Superman goes, "Yeah, give me that," and then immediately crushes it.
Mercy's not happy. Yeah,
no. And you look at Mercy's face, so that entire sequence is really told in the art. So I think that
because he asked
for that when we crumble going forward for a little while.
He asked for it, and then Mercy's like, "Yeah, locked and loaded, sir," and then he just immediately crushes it.
Yeah, but she looks so mad.
Yeah,
so
that cost $8 million to make Superman.
Yeah, well, use your money better, But yeah, that was all good. And then the stuff too with Lex at the end, the way that Campbell does stuff with the shadows, like the guards being gone, and whoever came out and stabs Lex.
I think it works particularly well because it's split down the middle. So on one side you've got the mood lighting of the bar that the others are in, and the other side it's just this pure like blood red background with really really desaturated characters.
When you say Campbell's off for a bit, do you just mean Night Terrors, or is he actually off the issue?
I'm sure we just saw in the solicits that it was someone else on art.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's why I'm asking.
I don't either. Yeah,
I will try and double check, but I'm fairly confident.
Control F, come on. Control F that bad boy.
Yeah, I've got to reload the solicits page. I don't have it up. I close tabs occasionally. Honestly, it's very rare I close tabs.
Yeah, I was going to say, you never close tabs. This is completely out of character for you.
It's because I've got like 5 other tabs already open on that window alone from... Of
course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah. It's Gleb Melnikov on art for issue 6.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I like Gleb.
So it's not like it's a bad artist, obviously.
No, but it's not Campbell. And I'm curious to see how the style changes because Campbell's very, very soft, very rounded.
It's a very different style. His is very action heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
He hates, like, he's pretty on record as hating drawing like talking head shots.
Right.
He wants to draw all the action in the splash pages.
Yeah. And that's why he was so good on Robin. So.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
And there's still the annual issue in August, which is continuing this.
That's true. Yeah, it says at the end it's continuing in the annual, so we do actually get a part of this story, even though it's off for 2 months for Dark Night Terrors. Let's say.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. What are you rating Superman issue 5?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Connor.
I'm giving it a 6.5. It's pretty good.
I'm happy to give it an 8, but
okay.
I
didn't realize I was going to be so controversially low during that.
No, you seem to like this more than Wonder Woman. Therefore, when you gave that a 7,
no, because they're very different in that.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, I like a lot of its ideas, and I think despite my fundamental problems with the character, I think I preferred the way that issue was written, and I prefer.
It's only a half. It's only a half point difference, but you seemed a lot more enthusiastic about Superman than you were about Wonder Woman.
It's also like the pacing. That was only like a 8 or 9 page story in Wonder Woman. It flowed really well. Like it was a lot faster. Whereas this, there were points where I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for the next page.
All right, well, we'll move on then, shall we? Nightwing, issue 105, Tom Taylor writing, Bruno Redondo on the art, and this has got a gimmick to it. This is the POV issue, where every panel is from Nightwing's perspective, and they set that up early with him waking up next to Babs, the dog coming and licking him, and then him brushing his teeth in the mirror, and, there's a crisis to deal with. There's a train that's been hijacked with some villains, and they really focus on like the trip there this time, because obviously they wanted to draw like the POV shots of swinging through the city with Babs in front of them, which is all very pretty. I mean, the art's obviously one of the highlights of this issue.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, Redondo here is really doing some good stuff, because Nightwing, you still see him, right? It's through reflections.
Yeah,
you can follow the action very well. So that scene where they jump out to go catch the train, right, and we get the perspective of him behind Babs, and she's getting ready to land, and then you look at the train platform, and there's reflections from the windows, right, and you could see them, and it's just, he's doing really good things with the angles here. Like it is almost like an exercise.
Somewhat controversially, I don't love this issue for that. For the gimmick, I compared to the previous gimmick issue, right? Because that obviously did the all one shot gimmick before.
The oneer.
Which I thought was excellent. I thought the art flowed incredibly well. In this, I felt the gimmick taking me out of the issue multiple times, where I felt like, oh yeah, we're just doing, like it felt occasionally like it was constrained by having to be from this one shot. Yes, it was getting creative, but I felt it as I felt from an outside perspective of the story.
Well, here's my thing. Is as I was reading it, I was enjoying the story, and obviously it's what was the Double Dare were the villains,
Double
right?
Dare.
Right, and so it's Single Dare. So it's just one of them that's on the on the train. And there's some banter about, she missed being chased and grabbed by Nightwing, and Babs gives him like a grabbed and chased, right? Yeah. So I was enjoying the antics, and it's like, okay, they're actually doing something good, because they're smuggling this vaccine that this evil corporation wants to charge this country for, that they need.
Yeah, Vlatava.
Yeah, blah blah blah. All fine stuff, and I'm enjoying the story. But there was something in the part of my mind that I was going, is there any reason why this particular issue should be POV? And when I first started thinking that, I didn't really have an answer until it got to the company, and I got, okay, that's why this issue is POV, because it's all building up to him meeting the alternate identity of Heartless, right? Which, by the way, I'm glad they told me, because as much as I really enjoyed that annual with his backstory, I would have never remembered his name.
I completely forgot his name.
Yeah.
And I forgot that he was the heir to a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah. I remember him being the heir to a rich guy, like I remember him.
Yeah, a rich guy, but not the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. So but, it works well enough. It's like, okay, yeah, I remember being told that story. Yeah, this makes sense. But this, like, meeting of him for the first time, like, I was like, okay, I think that's why this one's in POV, because it's all building up to that moment where you see him, and it hits who it is. So I think I get what it's doing, and I think it's effective enough in what it is doing.
I get where you come from. I personally don't feel like this added anything to that meeting that wouldn't have been there with Redondo's normal artistic license. I don't think it added anything particularly unique that was like, we needed this interaction this way. And I just, like I felt the framing device as a hindrance, as something Redondo was working around and being creative to get around the restrictions of it throughout the issue. And I found myself noticing that, this is all just one, this is all a gimmick, as opposed to enjoying the story. Because I think the story in the issue is still good. Like, it's still like every other issue of Nightwing, right? It's solid. It's enjoyable. I enjoy all the character interactions. I'm enjoying Dick and Babs. I'm enjoying what they're doing with the villains, and they're doing the good thing. And I'm enjoying this meeting with Heartless's alter ego. But I think I'd have enjoyed it more if I wasn't constantly being like, but why am I in POV?
I didn't have that problem, and I think part of it is because, to me, when you have an idea like this, a restriction as you put it, part of it is working around the restriction to make the story. And I think when you have to work around the restriction in an artistic way, and whether that's, we can only do all this in this one type of shot, or we can only do all this in this one way, to me that breeds like a different type of creativity they don't usually get forced into, and that can lead to some interesting, like, different ways of doing things.
I get that. I think part of my problem is it's a self-imposed restriction that it's only there for the gimmick. It's only there so they can market this as the POV issue. There is no creative reason for that. I don't feel.
I mean, again, there's no story necessity that it had to be first person, but I like to think there was Redondo going, can I do a whole issue from Dick's perspective?
It might be like a personal creative challenge. Absolutely.
So, and I think he executes it. And but I'm just trying to think, what would have been the reason that this had to be first person? Like, is he trying something, new? It doesn't. I can't think of one.
I think it does work by the end, because I think it makes this meeting with Heartless feel like, I think you'll remember that even better than you would have done, because it's the first person issue. I think your mind's going to link those two things together really easily. And you'll remember that first moment where he met him. Like, I do genuinely think that'll work, because it kind of, when it hit me who he was meeting here at the company, because I didn't see it coming. It did come out of nowhere, but in a good way, where it didn't feel like a cheat. It was like,
right.
Oh no.
Well, but then they reminded you too that this was his bully that he stuck up for, when he was younger, too. So he knows who this guy is,
I really like this dialogue in this, the back and forth, the Mr. Wing. It's one word, all that, and the ending. I'll be like me calling you Mr. Hole. Yeah, I like all that, but I felt like that's a perfect example where I can see the restriction of, to show us Nightwing's smirk while he's saying it, like, you have to do it in the reflection of the door. And I'm like, I feel like I'd have probably preferred that if it was just a normal panel where we're seeing this smirk and we're seeing this, back and forth between them, without the awkward, there's a line in the middle of his face, because that's where the line on the door is. It just feels like a distraction to me.
I can't agree with that. I think this is a self-imposed challenge, and one that I think works. I think if they said, the rest of the run's going to be like this, I'd be giving them some side eye, like, why? But it's doing a single chapter like this. This is no different to me than Mr. Robot saying, we want to do an episode that's in CinemaScope, or Fringe saying, we're going to do an animated episode. And sometimes, like, because Mr. Robot especially had, like, probably a good half dozen, like, gimmick episodes over the course of its run, and some of them worked better thematically than others to what the story was doing in those episodes, but there's not a single one of them that I regretted. All of them were enjoyable for the experience of it doing something different for one chapter, and I think that works here as well, where I'm going to remember the events of this issue in a way that I wouldn't have, because it stands out uniquely because of how it was told.
But see, this is the thing, I don't think it stands out that unique. I don't think this is anywhere near as memorable as the one-shot issue.
I disagree there, because again, I like for Redondo, it's an exercise in perspective, right? He has to do everything right, so he can still show us Dick's smirk, but he does it in the reflection.
He can, right?
So it's just a different way of doing things.
And I don't even. Again, I want to make it clear, I don't think this is a bad issue. I like all the stuff in this issue. I like all the art in this issue. I just feel like I would have liked it equally as much, just the sheer content of it and the way it's drawn. I would have liked equally as much if it had been drawn normally, and I'd have had extra enjoyment because I wouldn't have had, oh, this is a gimmick issue the whole time I was reading it in my head, which took me out of the experience.
I think I enjoy seeing how, like, for me, part of this is like enjoying seeing how they do the challenge. Like, you know, watching for how he deals with these moments that you would just do another way if you were doing a normal issue, and seeing how he works around it is part of the fun for me, especially as someone who has now read a lot of comic books. I enjoy seeing the kind of how are they going to pull this off this way? In the same way that when I'm watching like a movie scene and I'm like, you know, what's an example? This isn't exactly the same thing, but think of like Jaws, right? Where it's like, oh shit, the shark looks terrible. We now have to work around it, right? And obviously, I'm not saying this is as successful as that, because that, you know, famously made that movie 10 times better because they were hiding and it was more scary because of it. I think in a similar vein, though, you get this different, you know, you get a different style for an issue.
I get that, and I think, like, to counteract that again, that's not a restriction that they chose. That was something that was forced upon them by the budget.
In that case, sure, but there's definitely several where it is a chosen restriction, where someone decides to write a script where it's a movie set in one room. No one forced them to do that, but they made that choice, and they'll, you know, like, I just recently watched 12 Angry Men again. Like, that wasn't written that way because there was a restriction in mind, right? You know, I'm sure maybe it was a stage play at first, and that was...
Yeah, I think it was a stage play, but regardless...
Yeah, but plays have multiple locations, though, often. It's not that...
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They still chose to put it in that super hot, steamy room and make you feel like you were in there with those 12 guys.
Yeah. So, and then all of the direction of like making the scenes exciting, despite the fact that we never leave this dull, basic-ass room, is part of the challenge, and it kind of forces...
I don't disagree with any of that. I just think... this doesn't have enough of a reason to be a POV issue. There's not enough unique going on. It like, if this was an issue where we really need to be inside Nightwing's head, like in a metaphorical sense, then to do that in the literal sense as well would be a great, you know, a great way of pairing that.
The only thing that's missing for me is an actual reason for it, like,
which is why I think, like, if you can back this up with a reason, it stops being a gimmick and starts becoming a narrative function.
But then again, you have to look at the winner and why was that told that way?
Because that flowed, right? That had this sense of it was regular. That did have a reason. It had it was this flowing chase. It was this non-stop.
No, because you could do it. They could have done a chase scene any other way. You
could do that with a regular comic issue as well. It doesn't need to.
Of course you can, but like that again, like there was a narrative function in that. It's really reinforcing this chase. It's reinforcing this non-stop flow. This doesn't reinforce anything for me. There is no deeper thing that it's adding.
Well, let me add some stuff to this then, because I will say there is something this does because of its style that's a little bit different than normal. There was a lot more time, I feel, because of the perspective, really focusing on the facials of whoever he's looking at. So you get it with Single Dare, you get it with Babs, and like her, and some of them are fun, of course, but it's her like, hey, teasing him about the, you know, when she, because obviously part of the plan is for Babs to dress up in the Single Dare.
I'm not complaining basically off of that. We get Babs as a Double Dare, so that works for me. Because
they set it up like, hey, if only we knew another redhead that could pretend to be, you know, this character, and then cut to her in the outfit, and she's like, hey, how do I look? And he's like, I'm not going to answer that. That feels like a trap. And he's like,
that's a trap. Yeah.
She's like, good response. Actually, on that subject, I love the little detail of the speech bubbles for Nightwing, where it was inverted, where it was going in the way. I thought that was a neat little touch because it's a nice lettering POV.
Yeah, and obviously, I think it was a smart lettering choice, just on a functional level, to always have it with the blue outline. Because obviously, we've got no dialogue arrow for what to lead us to it, so it's always just a very clear, no, this is Nightwing's speech.
So what I'm getting at, though, is that you're reading this villain's face, this person who's typically a villain but is doing something more or less for a good reason, and is taking this train because she's trying to save her sister who's been kidnapped. And so much of it's about reading her and trusting that she's telling the truth so that they'll help her do the right thing, even though she's typically a bad guy. And I think the reason why it works for the Heartless meeting is, even though he doesn't know he's heartless, this moment at the end, he's having to try and read who this person is just on his face. And obviously it ends with him calling him an asshole, effectively, to sort of get the sense that he has got a good idea of how much of a prick this guy is. Obviously, he's not sussed that he's this, you know, stone cold killer who's stealing hearts. But
Right.
I think setting it up as this idea, this is the issue where he's having to like rely on his judgment of people based on reading their faces and how they talk to him. I think that does back up why this is the POV issue. And you know, and I think starting with Babs is the one that we already know that he can trust, who is someone who's close to him, who we don't have to worry
Babs
about.
and Bitewing.
And Bitewing,
right?
yeah.
Like,
but we don't have to worry about reading them because we know. So that gives you a baseline. That's your baseline for someone that he's looking at. And then you have someone who is a bit villainous, but, you know, ultimately here is doing something for a good reason.
Yeah, she's a hired gun, so therefore, like... And he brings up how they've had run-ins with her but earlier in the run.
The point is that it's all stepping stones to get into the one that he just cannot, under any circumstance, trust. Right. And it's about reading that on his face. So I think that's probably the thematic logic behind why this is the POV issue. Because I was definitely noticing, like, a few of the moments where, like, Babs would turn and look at him, it was really kind of a weird perspective compared to normal because of the POV. And it was really making me focus on the nuances of, like, the look she was throwing him in a way that's different to normal, you know? So that's my defense. I don't know if it holds up, but that's my that's where I'm
I
from.
think it's not like it's not a terrible defense. It's again, it's not bad. It's not enough to justify it for me because that's nothing you couldn't just do with close-up panels anyway for me. So I don't think for me it adds enough to get to justify the gimmick still. But
I think
at the end of the day, I just don't think I don't think you're gonna convince me that it did.
The only thing I would add on to that though is that the point is you're thinking about it more because of the gimmick, because you're looking at it from a different perspective. That's the one thing I'd add on to that, is that yes, you can theoretically obviously have those same feelings from regular comic panels if you were going to do it that way. But I think the point is that this wants you to be constantly thinking about how you're looking right into people's faces. Because you are looking right into people's faces.
You are, and I think it's for me, you're achieving the same feeling with, you know, like I'm not using, you know, you don't have to use a 9-panel grid, but like, you know, 9-panel grids of facial reactions is kind of this evoking the exact same response where you're focusing on the micro expressions.
Yeah, no, like absolutely. There's a reason why comics have largely done it a different way for a long time, but I have no problem with this. Even if this is an experiment that no one thinks succeeded, I think it was a perfectly valid experiment to do. And I will remember beats of this in a way that's different to normal because of the way it was done.
That's fair. It's definitely a valid experiment. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. I'm just saying, for me, personally, I'd have preferred it. I would have enjoyed this issue more without the gimmick. If it was exactly the same content, you know, but redrawn in Redondo's normal presentation, I would have enjoyed it slightly more. But that doesn't make it a bad issue.
You want to rate it, Matt?
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8.5, but I'm you know, it's kind of knocking on the door, Matt. I didn't really like this issue. I love
at least a half a point was for the Babs stuff.
Yeah,
so.
The playfulness with Babs and their relationship was great. The heartless meet at the end was great. Like, I think the like Babs almost falling off the train because she misjudged like the speed of both of them going at the same time.
And,
like, those were all just fun little bits. Yeah.
And him catching her in the way that she looks up, like not worried because she knew. She's like, I knew you get me, Boy Wonder. Like,
Good. All right. What are you rating it, Connor?
Madness. 7.5.
Let's see where the audience lies on that debate, shall we? All right, well, more Tom Taylor next, because we got Titans issue 2, which is Tom Taylor writing with Nicola Scott on the art. So this, like, you know, immediately dealt with the Wally issue, which was like, wait, they killed off Wally? What? Which
kind of.
Yeah. Well, I was never worried about, like,
maybe.
You know, it never felt like it was a real thing. And sure enough, like, very, very quickly, they established that, where it could be a real thing, obviously. There's a threat that he could die now,
but it won't be, because the team will solve it.
The team will solve it, yeah.
I do love the fact, though, that they set that up, right? And there's this big cliffhanger. People were mad, right?
Well, have people read comics before?
Yeah.
Well, I saw at least one person, like, sort of asked Tom Taylor about it on Twitter, and he just was like, just wait till issue 2. Just don't worry
reading.
about it.
Yeah, and so, like, there's all the stupid stuff, and then they immediately get to it. You know, that he goes, I called Linda, but she didn't answer because this guy did. Here comes Wally. And just the whole, like, I could feel the flow of that scene playing out.
Yeah. Like, it's a very fun thing. Obviously, it starts with...
Gavin, like, I'm glad you're not dead in a pool of blood. He's like,
yeah.
Me too, bud.
Me too, bud, yeah.
So it starts with a flashback just setting up that Brother Blood's like their nemesis, right? Which obviously comes up later. And what was
They
interesting...
get completely undermined by the Justice League.
They do.
Yep.
What was interesting about this? Correct me if I'm wrong, but has there ever been a time when both the new Teen Titans and the other characters from the original Teen Titans were all mixed in one team?
I do think so, because that was the post. That was the right after they introduced them. But I don't feel like Tempest and Donna were there. But I do feel like Wally and
What, you mean New Teen Titans?
Yeah.
No, Donna was definitely there, but I don't think... Was Tempest there? I don't think Tempest was
I
there.
don't think so. But you're talking about a mix of those guys.
Basically,
right?
what I'm saying is this is the New Teen Titans team, but they've also got Garth and Roy, right? Because Roy's not...
Roy.
No, Roy isn't the Teen Titans. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm confusing myself now.
Because the New Teen Titans was Nightwing.
Yes.
And why am I drawing a blank?
Wally,
Nightwing, Beast
Raven.
Boy, Raven. Yeah, Wally.
Yeah. Wally, Beast
Right,
Boy,
so-
Raven, Cyborg, Starfire.
Yeah.
And Donna.
Roy wasn't there.
Yeah,
Roy
I
wasn't
didn't
there,
think Roy
neither was
was.
Garth.
Yeah, Roy and Garth
And
are
I
the
think-
ones that I didn't think were there yet.
And Donna was in and out. She wasn't a main fixture in the New Teen Titans.
She was definitely there in the first couple of arcs, because I've read those.
Yeah?
Yeah, she starts off there.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe she did set it out later on, but she's
Right.
definitely there at the start.
Because I remember that's when she gets married, right? And they have to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I was just thinking, was this just that them mushing some continuity together to be like, they were all
think
together at one point. It's
I
fine.
I think a little bit.
I think a little bit, and we've had enough resets that you can just be like, yeah, this happened at some point. We we just never read that story.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I remember saying that in issue 1 where they go to, like, one of them goes to try and talk to Garth, and I was like, yeah, but Garth was never on your New Teen Titans team, which is what this team is.
Yeah.
And that obviously comes up at the end of the issue when Garth apparently has joined the Brother Blood cult, although I should say Brother Eternity now.
I don't trust him.
Oh, really, Matt? You do think he can be trusted?
And it has nothing to do with the religion aspect. I know enough.
All I can
enough
see
life.
is the deep saying, do you want a Fresca? That's all I can
love
see.
that he's taking this from cult Brother Blood, which is what we used to play with as the cult leader, to let's call it what it is, Evangelist Born Again.
Yeah. Which is still a cult, to be fair.
But it's still a cult.
Is,
but at least the original, the Church of Blood, at least you knew where they stood. Right? These guys, I'm very familiar with groups like the Church of Eternity, and they'll come take you in and then immediately talk about
this definitely feels, especially from an Australian, right, in this, looking in at specifically US Christian culture, which is wildly different from my experience with Christianity anywhere else in the world.
So again, it might just be recency bias because I watched that Hillsong documentary, right? And Hillsong does come from Australia, right? Where there was this big church, right? And I'm wondering if Taylor is familiar, because this rebranding of the Church of Eternity feels a lot like what I watched in that Hillsong documentary, right? We're this big welcoming church and everyone should come and sit in, and we're not like that anymore.
It was so bizarre to me to learn one day, I don't know when, but at one point during my young adulthood, realizing that when Americans thought Christianity, that's what they think of. That is not the case in.
Well, you got to remember too that we were a heavily Protestant country at our founding, right?
Right, but even here in England, where Protestant Catholicism, Protestant Christianity is the religion of the state.
Right.
Our monarch is the leader of the religion.
Right.
It's not the same. It's not ingrained in the same way. It's so alien to me.
Yeah, no, and again, that comes down to the whole Anglican vibe of things, right?
Yeah,
and this might just be on my mind too, because of where I went, right? In Canada, there was on the East Coast, there was a Catholic presence, but it was still Anglican, right? So there was a balance there. but they were still, like you said, the Anglican is the state. And so, they are treated a little bit different. And so just like with this, when I think of a shady church, and I know the Catholic Church has done very shady things throughout all of history, I immediately though think of evangelical new wave stuff like
you're
this.
thinking the Righteous Gemstones, man. That's what you're thinking.
No, 100% though. And that's because that's what it's become. As soon as they can start monetizing things, right? That's where
it's so uniquely American.
Yes. Right. And so again, and let's say the Catholic Church did all this. I mean, the reason why the Protestant Church popped up is because the Catholic Church was doing stuff like that back.
I mean, it's been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
So so to see I just love this because the Church of Blood is one of those Teen Titans things that I just love every time they come back to it because there's so many different things they can do. And it even showed up in the Multiversity book that was on Earth 9 with the swap ones where that Flash is from. I'm drawing a blank on their name, but yeah, so the Church of Blood shows up there too, and it's completely different than this version.
But just taking it from a cult into this, and it's the white suit with the really loose tie, going up on the TV on the talk show. I'm like, oh,
yeah, he's on Letterman or whatever it's meant to be parodying.
I'm just one of you, and we're looking for a lot of people that want to just join our family. And it's like, y'all are gonna be sacrificed at one point. I don't know.
Judging by the cover of the next issue, maybe quite literally,
very possibly. So the big thing of the issue is that they analyze this Wally that's dead, and it's like, okay, it's not a Wally from a different universe. We don't think it's like something fake. It could be a clone, maybe, but it's probably just you from the future. And one of the details they find is that the soles of his shoes, it feels like he's been running somewhere where there's a lot of fire or something like that.
Right.
And
like wood. They said it was like wood, smoke, and ash.
So
ash in the suit, yeah.
So very quickly, there's this crisis pops up where Borneo's like on fire, and it's a really good bit actually with Beast Boy where he points out how many species are almost extinct that live in that forest, and he's sort of concerned about that. So Nightwing's like, "Hey, Wally, we're staying here," and Wally's like, "No, I need to go help people." He's like, "Nope, but this might be what kills you, so we're going to stay here until we've got a better idea what's going on." So
and he's like, "Oh, you can't stop me." And he's like, "Wait, can you stop me?" He's like, "Yeah, I can stop you."
Yeah. I was trained by Batman. I know how to stop everyone.
He's like, look, hey, we all know Batman does his shady shit, but I'm going to be level with you and tell you I do the shady shit out in public.
Right.
I've got a way to take all of you down. Just be
I'm telling you this because you're my friend. Yeah,
but step out of line.
Right.
Yeah, actually, it's worth mentioning, like, this fire, it looks like a giant crater when the rest of the team go there. It's just this massive hole in the forest. Yeah. But there's a big action sequence though where they basically teleport water from a nearby dam and make it rain through a portal.
I do like that. It's the team working together.
In charge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, Dick puts Donna in charge for the mission, which I really like though, the whole like using the teleporters to like flood the fire. I like it because it feels distinctly different from the Nightwing book, and that this, because we've got a team of characters who have these big superpowers, it does feel like, we're going to be facing very different like threats and issues compared to Nightwing.
And what I learned here is Donna played Paul.
What?
Do you not think she played Paul?
A Portal.
Gotcha.
I thought you said Paul.
I thought you said Paul too, and then I'm like,
I was like, who's Paul?
Something I don't know.
Yeah,
Portal. Maybe. I mean,
creative thinking coming from Paul.
It was. Well, I like too that it's Raven.
I love that both me and the American bit. What the hell's he saying? The weird English accent.
Which it's usually Pete, but I've done shows enough with him now for coming on 10 years that I can get through the Scottish. But sometimes your English, Connor, is.
I don't even think I have a particularly strong accent.
It's not until you say Portal, and then it comes out as Paul.
Learn something new.
Yeah, but no, just the idea of it too, that it's the magic person, it's Raven, and it's Cyborg, the technical guy, right? She's putting those two together. To get it done. So it shows the teamwork.
Just problem solving. Yeah,
and the whole after that, the whole conversation with Corey, right? Where she's like, "Oh, I don't want you to be mean, or I don't want you to be mad at me." Because, usually you do the lead, but it's again very much like a family. Yeah.
I think particularly if you got like a thought bubble, classic comic book days from Dick at this point, he's probably thinking, I can never put Corey in charge because I'm with Babs now, and that might look suspicious. I've got to treat her like she's second best always.
And I think Corey knows this, and Corey's like, okay, that's whatever.
I mean, I'm just joking, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. But also, so Beast Boy starts helping out, takes the shape of an orangutan, which live in Borneo, and he starts trying to save them, but he can't save them all, and he's shooken by all of this.
Yeah, there's also just kind of nice vibes from having them hang out, because it's that night, when they're having these conversations afterwards.
Yeah.
This is when they obviously see in the TV the brother blood stuff, but it's just kind of, there's just a nice chill vibe to all them, like unpacking and being like, oh, we're actually living together again, and kind of just, there's good vibe. I like a good vibe in a comic, and that kind of gave me that. And then the big twist here at the end is that Garth Tempest is here, and he's with Brother Blood on the TV show. And I could almost like feel the censorship where the final line is Beast Boy saying, oh, what the actual hell? And I'm like, I know that in my heart, Taylor initially thought what the actual F.
Do you know what the
was that
extra
line.
problem is? Very, very slightly. We've watched this exact scene with a water-based character.
That's what Pete said at the beginning.
Yeah, the deep.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen this exact scene where it's not censored.
I made a Fresca joke earlier on, yes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, because we've seen it and where that is very much not censored, you know exactly what they think. Like, it has that extra bit of like, I've seen the adult version of this scene.
Hey, oh my god, if they actually go full deep with Garth.
They're not gonna go full deep.
I mean, not full, like, they're obviously not the sexual assault stuff, but like if they go full deep where he's just like, he's getting whales killed by accident and shit like that. Oh, and it turns out he's a big Space Girls fan. He's listening to Wannabe. Like,
I definitely would believe that from him. Man has taste.
Does he? He's with the Church of Eternity now.
I just
musical taste.
Like, I'm not trying to character assassinate Tempest, but I don't know. Like, there's probably there might be like 7 people on the planet who would consider themselves fans of Tempest specifically, and I'm just saying that pissing off those 7 people may be worth it for the joke of just making them the deep in the DC universe. Because you know what I did with Aquaman, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, and Jackson's made some good leeway.
Yeah, and Jackson's
more just disrespectful.
Yeah, and Jackson's more important in the sense that he's got a lot more things going on. He like, what is because Jackson, not only has he got a connection to Black Manta, but he's also good because for diversity, because he's both gay and he's black, right? What does Tempest have going for him? He's just another Aquaman.
It's like, you know how we were talking about in Wonder Woman, how many proto Wonder Girls there are and successors, and they all just kind of got tossed aside. How long till Arthur has a kid again and we have to do it all again? like play with that when
well, we already have Andy.
I know, but how long till she gets older and we have to play with this all again?
Oh, I mean, that's the thing though. Even just those future state stories of Andy, it was like, Andy's a cool successor, way more cool than Tempest is.
Yeah. Well, the thing, and this is, might come off as mean, but like, his own family didn't want him, right? If you know Garth's stories, he was left on the reef because of his purple eyes. So, and that's why Aquaman took him in. So,
I mean, it's clear. I have nothing against Tempest. I don't dislike Tempest, but
he's kind of bland.
He's just a blank slate. He's nothing.
Right. No, right. And that's so I said Jackson's made leeway in the character where I like reading his stories. Like, if I had more time, I would read all of them.
I'm always slightly underwhelmed by his stuff in that. Because obviously he's very heavily based on Calder from Young Justice. And I prefer that version of the character.
Right.
And I think I would have preferred a more direct adaptation of that character into the comics than what we did get with Jackson.
Gotcha.
So it's always slightly disappointing for me when I read his stuff. But, I mean, it's still better than Garth.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Garth is they gave him magic to make him interesting, and that doesn't even,
It's so funny, though. He's like the Jason Todd of Aquaman, but at least Jason Todd's in the Bat family, which is obviously more prestigious.
But at least with him, is we went through a period of we hated Jason, right? And the opposite of love isn't hate; it's apathy, and that's where we
never hated
Garth.
Garth. He's just there.
Yeah, he's just there. To me, that's worse, right?
This is like, there's a lot of people right now, especially after Spider-Verse, and I'm hearing it at work, Ben Reilly apologists People claiming Ben
Bro.
Reilly's their favorite Spider-Man, and Ben Reilly was
Bro,
always cool.
so-
Like, you're lying sack of shits.
No, because I know Andrew. We all know Andrew.
Ben Reilly was
wrong.
always cool. That's James was always cool from Twin Peaks. That's what
Hey,
that
you
is.
know, there's some Twin Peaks rumors going around.
Once
I've heard,
Spider-Verse
I've heard.
came out, and I had that spoiled for me because I didn't know. I've been so out of stuff. But I hear about Ben Reilly, and now Andrew has not shut up. So not only does he love Jason Todd, now I got Ben Reilly stuff all over. And then I hear who's playing Ben Reilly, and it irritates me.
Yeah, and then Garth
So-
is like even below those two shitty characters.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm pissing everyone off today.
How did this turn into
Yeah,
this?
all 7 of them, Connor.
Yeah, this turned into the assassination of Tempest for some reason. I don't
And
know
this
why.
is why he's joined the Church of Eternity, because he can't get no respect. I might as well just throw in with these guys, you know. I also wouldn't be surprised if he's working with Waller or something.
Oh, surely. There's obviously
what I
like a
mean?
swerve coming here, or he's being mind controlled or something. Like it is like
It's funnier if he's not.
it's so true. Though, when you looked at the Titans book, when the Rebirth started, right, and you looked at that team, like he was easily the least. Like if you took him out again, maybe 7 people would care that he wasn't there, right?
How many people do you think would care about the team of the rejects? Garth, Jason.
There's enough Jason
Probably would have
apologists.
to throw Cassie in at this point. Let's be fair.
I mean,
Oh, that's a shame, but yeah.
I know, but fits the mold.
who do you throw in from the Super Family? Don't you dare say Connor.
It's obviously Connor.
It kind of is Connor.
That's not happy. He knows it's true though, so he's not arguing. He's just
I
sad.
can't. Okay, who do you throw in from Green Lantern? And why is it Kyle?
It's not Kyle. Don't you dare. I don't think
Who is it then?
I don't think Green Lantern has one in the city because Green Lantern doesn't have like generations. It's just more
No.
Green Lanterns.
Yeah, the closest would probably be Simon Baz. Yeah,
Just because he's kind of gone forgotten, because Jess still pops up, but
he's
I
just
haven't
been
seen
forgotten
Simon
about.
since the Green Lanterns book.
Yeah, he's much newer than
And
these other characters we're talking about, but yeah, he
Yeah.
probably fits the bill more than anyone else.
Yeah. You know what though? Written by Matthew Rosenberg, that's almost Task
And
Force Z
you
level.
you can throw Connor Hawke in there as well.
Sure.
He's back on the come up.
People care about him a little bit more
Yeah.
than Jason and that, but
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But anyways, the other thing I want to talk about Titans before we rate it too is that when they're trying to figure out what caused that fire, right? They study the energy signature and it's Tamaranian. So, I'm wondering if there's a black fire or if we're gonna get some more Tamaranian stuff popping up. But,
that or it's someone framing them.
right.
Yeah. I do appreciate though that the first issue set up that we're doing the romance with Raven and Beast Boy, and we were still doing stuff with Raven's own story, and now we're setting up some
Exactly.
stuff that ties into Starfire. I like that all these plots have been set up that all feed into the different members of the team rather than just one thing.
Even it's not just Nightwing and his amazing friends. It is a Titans book.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
focusing on all of them.
Nightwing feels like one of the smallest characters in the book.
Yeah.
Which, in some ways, he should right now because he's the one with a book for himself. Him and Wally, and Wally's pretty minor here as well.
Yeah, and he's also the straight man who's given the orders, so it inherently works that he's getting less.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, it's a very good issue, though. I mean, I don't know if we ever said that. I really enjoyed this issue.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was
Nicholas
as
Tucker is
enjoyable
always
as
enjoyable.
as apathetic as we are to Garth. So
We don't even hate Garth. It's
I
just
know.
it's easy pickings.
well, now it's become a joke, and we're going to bring it up as much as we can.
I'm just imagining. I mean, this isn't quite the same moment, but that moment on The Boys where he's reintroduced in season 3 as the Deep, and they do that thing where he turns around dramatically and the light turns on him. Like, I'm just picturing that now.
Yeah.
And the swagger up to the stage. Good stuff. All right. What are you rating Titans about?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Connor?
I'm gonna go with an 8.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5 as well. I think this and honestly, I read this and Nightwing back to back, and it was just a pleasant. It's almost a shame though having them in the same week. It's nice to spread the love out a bit between the weeks, but
Yeah, they weren't on the
That's for
same
sure.
week last month.
they weren't. I imagine, given that we're not even going to have more issues of them until September, that it'll probably be back to a normaler schedule for then.
Did I close the tab again?
I don't know. Did you, Connor?
I did.
Oh, bloody hell. All right.
Why do I keep doing this?
He's the one that likes to fact check things as well. You think he'd have learned to keep the facts open.
Whatever.
Bloody hell. Absolute shambles. We will just sit here in silence whilst our own Tempest of the show looks up the dates.
Oh, I wasn't doing it. I just, it's not.
Oh, you've given up?
I'm not getting up again.
Wow. Is that a downgrade or an upgrade that he's gone from our Jason Todd to our Tempest?
It's
more apathetic about it.
It's like they had sex and had a baby, and then somehow a ginger got in spliced in somewhere.
That's why he's so pasty and so red.
For this, I'm checking. Nightwing's out on the 19th. Early search Teen Titans and out of habit. It's also on the 19th, so same week again.
That's just a thing now. Okay.
Man.
They're same week, Marty. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Batman Superman World's Finest issue 16, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. So we've got Mora New Mazo and all of his antics. So
just because obviously I wasn't here for the last issue.
Mm-hmm.
This is still Dick as Robin. It's set in the past, right?
Is this because there's a smartphone mentioned at one point?
It's not just that it's smartphone. It's that they talk about AI and they talk about like it's the specific phrasing of calling it AI and they're like, oh yeah, and like they say smartphones and self-driving cars.
Yeah, that was a bit weird to me, but I suppose
comics.
But I suppose in a weird way, because time obviously is always kind of fluid and moving forward with comics. It feels maybe a bit soon for this, but in some level, what we think of as the Silver Age and the characters' lives is probably at least post 2000 now.
It's when we started reading comics. Is the Silver Age?
I know.
I'm not so mad at there being smartphones because it didn't bother me in what Batman book was it? It might have been the Lemire Batman and Robin, or Robin and Batman.
Yeah,
there was like a smartphone during that, and Pete got really hung up on it being there.
It felt weird to me at the time. This feels probably weirder because it's meant to be a past story in continuity.
Oh,
it's
about
less the fact that there are smartphones. It's more the phrasing of it as those things as AI.
Yeah,
right.
Like even now, people don't call those things AI.
No.
Yeah. I guess it's like it's set in the past, but Waid just doesn't really care about making it feel like the past.
It's the sort of thing as well, like functionally, I felt this last issue as well, but just the idea of a Mazo 2.0, like how do you go back down to a Mazo for every threat following this period and it still feel like a threat?
I mean, you just forget this story happened, I suppose, when it comes up again.
But it's more an in-universe thing. It's like it's it's that power crunch. Everything's getting stronger and stronger, but this feels like it's too strong too early in the timeline.
Yeah, no, that's...
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
that's with all that said, I don't hate the story. I don't hate the issue. I just it was like timeline nitpicks.
Yeah, I mean, I still had a lot of fun with this. I think this idea that Amazo to be perfect needed the tech from the Metal Men so it could actually think for himself. Okay, that's a fine concept. Yeah.
Yeah, because Amazo's always just been brute strength, and now what if he had intellect to brute strength?
I also like Robin and Flash showing up with the cavalry at the end. That's a fun moment. You've got Plastic Man and the Metal Men.
Sorry, do you mean Mr. Wang?
Very good. Very good. That's a reference to the Gil Simone Plastic Man miniseries.
Wang. Everything was so Wang.
Yeah. So all the action's really good. Obviously the art's amazing here. I really like the moment actually where Batman gets the other people who have been held captive by New Mazo to make Oliver a bow and arrow so he can like fire something at the New Mazo.
Are you sure this is gonna work?
Or not even New Mazo, sorry, it's the Kryptonite.
It's Ultramorpho.
Yeah, and he's laying up the shot and he's like, doesn't this like reveal my secret identity? And Batman just whispers, I'm Batman. They'll think it was me.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really funny.
Well, it's up there with the Bill Murray thing to me of the no one will ever believe you.
Yeah.
And anytime you have normal people teaming up with Batman, they're just going to assume Batman did it.
Yeah.
So I like that it adds to the legend.
It's the sort of thing where because Batman, the mythology of because Batman is really fun to use because it's not because Batman, because he's not doing it.
Right. But it's also that it's the Ollie and Bruce rivalry that I just love, and it's why, when he shows up in Dark Knight Returns on Bruce's side, that's why it means so much, because these two are always on opposite ends of each other.
Yeah.
So so here them playing into that, and he's like, and Bruce kind of twists the dagger. Everyone's just gonna think it was me anyways.
And I was like, yeah, like you could do this,
right?
Yeah, but the point is, everyone will think it was him that did this. Ollie,
Right.
Sorry about that, but yeah. So Batman and Superman, once they're rescued, dish out all these jobs to the team. Sends Wonder Woman and Robin, which is do you know what? One of my favorite things about this book has become like all the different people he keeps teaming Robin up with. We've seen Robin with Superman, Robin with Supergirl, Robin with Flash, now Robin with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that makes sense because he is
everyone loves Dick Grayson.
Everyone loves Dick. Absolutely.
Yes, he's the heart of the DCU, and this is why, right? He's
Waid understands that.
Yeah. So they go off to because TW or Morrow or T.O. Morrow is the only like robot inventor who was not kidnapped and brought into this.
Because he saw it coming. It was like, I'm out. See ya.
Which is basically what he says. And then the big cliffhanger at the end of the issue is that the Supergirl that showed up with the rest of the team was not actually Supergirl. It was Numezo. Shapeshifted to be Supergirl because he's taken shapeshifting abilities from someone, probably Martian Manhunter.
Yeah,
would be my guess, but
probably, yeah.
So I thought that was a fun little cliffhanger. The book it just kind of continues to be like this absurd blend of like comics pulp, where Waid's really good at just doing these light-hearted stories. Clearly, he does not care about the things we were nitpicking at the start, which is these.
They're not big deals, not really. It's just things that I like as I was reading it and getting, especially it's in the first couple of pages, so I'm not like into the issue yet. It always takes a couple of pages.
He's not letting actual logic get in the way of the story, right? He has a story that he wants to tell about AI, and
it's the sort of story where the writing's good and fun, but with a average art, just a regular house style artist. I would maybe consider dropping this book at that point. Like it's the art that brings it to life and makes it a must read.
Also, I think Waid is also pulling these insane because every character that pops up in this, I'm sure, is a real character that he knows that he's putting in there. But there's like ones that he mentions in here that I have never heard of, and there's like 5 of them probably by the time the issue ends, and I'm like, you're just pulling these deep cuts out of your DC knowledge ass.
He's a lot like Morrison with that.
Yeah, and it's very impressive. Like one of the robot inventors was like, "Who's this one?" Like I read, I know Ivo, I know,
Toyman, Dr. Cyber, Bertram Larvin.
Yeah, Larvin, that was the one. Like who's this guy? I don't know. I believe he's real. I know Waid pulled him from somewhere.
We're going to find out right now. I didn't have time to look last night when I was reading it.
Yeah, so it's just like, I trust that he's putting in a lot of the weird nerdy shit that he wants to.
Like G.I. Robot.
That was the other one, G.I. Robot, never heard of. But I think what makes it all work, apart from just being fun and the art being great, is that it's those little moments like Oliver and Batman, or these interactions between Robin and Wonder Woman, where he just gets the personalities of the characters so well that it's always fun to read as a DC fan, especially since we're doing these versions of them that are a bit more back to basics in a sense, because they're not the current, like, weighed down by decades and decades of continuity.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, like I say. It means there are those inconsistencies that you feel, but it makes them very straightforward, simplified versions of the characters. They're very streamlined.
Yeah, so
that means you can just play with them in the raw form.
Have good fun. Right, you got this Larvam character, Matt?
I don't.
Oh my god, this is a deep cut then.
There he goes. He was also the Bug-Eyed Bandit.
Whoa.
And a thief and adventurer. He uses mechanical bugs to commit crimes in Ivy Town, so he's an Atom villain. I spelled Larvin wrong.
Okay.
So that's why it wasn't coming up.
He's an Atom villain. Okay.
Dr. Cyber?
Do you know what? I don't think I can name you a villain of the Atom, actually. That's a...
Well, now you can.
Yeah, now I can, apparently, yeah.
Ants.
So, and Dr. Cyber is a Wonder Woman villain.
Okay.
So,
she's got a lot of doctors as well, then.
Yeah, Dr. Psycho, Dr. Cyber, Dr. Poison,
yeah.
Wow. That honestly had a good time. It was fun. But probably doesn't lead to the same amount of discussion as those last few books. So.
No, it's a very straightforward, just fun book, and I think a lot of that is Dan Mora's art just being gorgeous the whole time because the way that man churns out issue after issue every month without fail and looks this good is impressive.
Almost like he has superpowers.
When's the last time you saw a damn or a fill-in? Like when he needed one? Because he went straight from, he was working on Once and Future into Detective Comics, straight into this. He's got Shazam. Like they always stagger it so he's alternating arcs, but you know, like you get a good chunk of Dan Mora at a time. You never have like his one issue and then he's off for 2 issues and then he's back.
No, and when he does need a break, that's where they do like the one issue.
Like I know we've got
the Travis Moore.
Travis Moore, yeah, I was gonna say he's coming up.
Yeah. Also, just one note here is New Morpho also takes intelligence from people the same way that the powers come. So. It mentions that he's already smarter than all these scientists combined because he's taken all their knowledge. So just something worth noting probably for future reference.
Power creep is real.
Somehow Batman will still outsmart him because he's Batman.
There's even a moment where Hal's like that at one point, where like Batman tells him to go and do something, and he's like, isn't that what they want? He's like, yeah, never mind, Batman.
Yeah. He's got a plan. Just go.
Yeah.
No. All right, Matt. What are you giving World's Finest?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Connor?
Also agreeing at the 7.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5. I have no reason to rock the boat. Very good. So, Batgirls, issue 19, Becky, Cloonan, and Michael Conrad writing with Robbi Rodriguez on the art, and seemingly as the final issue of the run. Definitely feels that way by the end. There's kind of a proper sentimental goodbye, and once a Batgirl, always a Batgirl. It's a solid issue, though. It's a solid end to this little 3-issue arc, or 4-issue arc they've done at the end here, of the sniper, shooting and what the podcaster Grace, like sort of been on a revenge kick because our cameraman got shot, and it all leads up to Steph having to talk her down into not shooting for revenge. So there's some heart there, which is good. But the idea that you've got the Hill, all the people, basically protesting and saying in support of the Batgirls, and seeing all the supporting characters that we've seen at the end, come to visit the cameraman in the hospital. So you get the bookstore owner comes in, all the other characters that we've met along the way. It's a fun time, and it gives some payoff to the characters because Steph gets to fight and show that she's learned a lot from Cass as far as actual fighting goes. So that's nice. Cass as well gets some big moments. The actual reveal of who the sniper is whatever. It's not a big deal, really. It's
it was one of those things that was spoiled by the cover, right? Like you're supposed to have this. A couple issues ago, there was a cover with Gunhawk and Gun Bunny, and it was like, oh, okay, well, why would they be on the cover?
Yeah, but it's not really Gunhawk though, because Gunhawk's dead, right?
Right.
But there's the guy who was from that villain team from the start of this run, who's now pretending to be Gunhawk. One
of the Saints.
Yeah. So he's pretending to be Gunhawk, and he's the second sniper. But Cass gets him by the end of the issue, while Steph takes on Gun Bunny. So they both got someone to fight, which is good. I will say the art's pretty solid, as Robbi Rodriguez has been. I will say there's a big page where Gun Bunny gets shot by the other sniper, and it's a great panel where you see like the crack in the window behind her, and the bullet's like really enlarged out front for perspective, and it's like come through her chest. My only critique of this panel, which I think is very good, is that it almost looks like she's given a 2 thumbs up as she's being shot.
Where should we look at this now?
That's all I could see when I looked at it. It was her giving 2 thumbs up while she's being shot like from back to front through the chest, and I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things.
She's a fan.
She's a fan of being shot. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because it looks. I'm trying to see how she was standing before, and she wasn't, because she gets DDT'd.
That's right. Steph DDTs her.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a DDT. It's a hell of a DDT as well, though. Like it looks like she's breaking her neck. Obviously, she's not.
That's a Jake the Snake DDT. You get hit, you stay down. But yeah, so I'm looking at how she was standing before, and there's really not. So she's. Maybe she was giving her the thumbs up on the DDT.
That's a proper DDT.
Yeah.
Not a shit Tommy Dreamer one, a proper one.
exactly. So, but yeah, but then all the cast fighting stuff too. When she fights the not gun hawk, that's all well done to make up for the thumbs up, I guess. So
Yeah, I think what made this work as the last arc, even though I wish it maybe got another 10 or so issues just to, have a bit more of a fuller run, is that because you've got the entire, district coming out to support the Batgirls because they've been making them feel safer, it does have this kind of, rounded quality to it where it feels like, oh, this is an ending. This feels like, okay, they've earned the respect of everyone around them. They've both gotten better. Steph and Cass feel like they're best friends for life now. It's done a lot of nice little things for these characters.
And then the narration, which I know is a kind of a nitpick throughout, right?
Yeah.
I do like how it ends here, right? So the last two word text boxes are, chance brought us together, and now we're connected by a single noble truth. Once a Batgirl, always a Batgirl, right? So it was clearly written in one of their voices, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're going back and telling the story, and that's where that, the third person stuff comes from. But I do like how it ends like that it brings it, like you said, kind of full, not full circle, but it brings it around.
Yeah, and obviously we know Cass is going to be on Birds of Prey. I hope Steph shows up somewhere. I'll be a shame if Steph is left behind after this. At the very least, I hope she keeps popping up as a supporting role in the other Bat books. But she could rotate.
Might show up in Tim's book at some point.
Could do. She also might end up rotating into Birds of Prey at some point. It's not entirely unlikely that that's a possibility. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah. Honestly, it's a book that started off a little rocky, but it kind of got better with each arc, and I really enjoyed basically the back half of the book. I really enjoyed quite immensely. So
yeah, all the stuff with the body swap. That's where I came back.
Yeah, the body swap around the annual and stuff was great. Yeah,
that was all really good. So
yeah,
but yeah.
So no, good time. I recommend if you're fans of these characters and you want a nice fun story with them. I think it's a solid little run. That does build some stuff over time. I wish it was a little bit longer. Like I say, I think another 10 issues or so just to get to that 30 number would have been nice. But hey, it is what it is. And at least they got a few number of arcs out of it so that we can actually have it always sucks to me when a book gets cancelled so early. It feels like it got basically just 2 arcs and you're like, it doesn't really feel like a run. It just feels like 2 stories. So
well, and it feels like Steph got to be Batgirl again, right? Because during the whole New 52 when she was gone, and then they tried to bring her back as spoiler, and that didn't seem to work. So here, she's a Batgirl, and it feels right again. We came back to it. So
yeah, so hopefully there's more to come from both of them in the not too distant future. Obviously, because there's plenty of Babs right now, because Babs is in Nightwing heavily, and she's even popping up as Oracle and lots of other books. So not worried about Babs certainly right now.
John, I forgot to mention this in times. I think it was more in the first issue. Babs popping up as Oracle felt like Charlie and Charlie's Angels.
A little bit.
Just the way she pops in, like Titans, I have a mission.
Yeah,
which is almost a little Birds of Prey actually, because that was kind of her role.
And Birds. Right.
So, it's interesting. All right, Matt, what are you giving Batgirls issue 19?
I'm going to give this a solid 7.
Yeah, I probably will too. I think the first issue or 2 of the Sniper arc were really good. It was 2 of the best issues of the whole run.
They had the tension in there, right?
I think this is just a little weaker just because the actual reveal of who the snipers are deflates the tension a bit, because they just feel like typical villains rather than something that's actually scary. But still a solid ending. I like the final kind of beats and the sweet moments between the girls. So yeah, I would agree with the 7. So all right, the Vigil issue 2, Ram V writing with Lalit, Kumar, Sharma on the art. So we praised the first issue of this to the high heavens. Well, maybe not Connor because he wasn't here, but
I wasn't. I had to read both issues. I like it a lot. No, I like it a lot. I think I potentially got it overhyped by you two very slightly.
Okay.
Maybe.
I still think it's very good.
Yeah.
But I don't. It might not even be my favorite of the 3, We Are Legends books.
Wow.
It's like neck and neck with Spirit World for me. but for very wildly different reasons.
Yeah.
They're vastly different books,
Yeah.
and I love that both of them exist.
Okay.
I just this fills the void that Checkmate left.
I think this is a better crafted comic than Spirit World is. I want to say that for a start. But there's something about the vibe and the fun that I get out of Spirit World that I think I enjoy more on a monthly-ish basis.
Yeah.
I think this will be a phenomenal trade, though.
This one went to some places I wasn't ready for an espionage book. You know, that last page threw me for quite a doozy.
Yeah.
So if Ram V can keep doing this, like keeping me on my toes by, you know, just when I think that, oh, this is a superhero espionage book like Checkmate.
It got wild.
Well, I think there's a couple of things it does. One, it focuses in on one of the team members for the actual mission part of the story, which is good because it lets us get to know one of them more, which is I think smart after the first issue where you get like a little taste of all of them. So that's good. I think it also, like you say, adds this extra element in by the end where it's like, okay, the guy who's running this place, they're Calder, if you will.
Yeah.
The doctor. There's more going on with him because he goes into this alternate reality or whatever it is at the end. Like
some void of some kind.
Yeah.
Ethereal space full of.
But yeah,
fish. I don't know if they're ships. Like some of them look like mechanical ships styled after fish. Some of them like just have eyes. They just look like giant weird alien fish.
Yeah. But so the character we get a lot of this issue is Arclight. Who is someone who lost his family because of it was a plant accident that spread chemicals around this town and killed everyone.
Right, that might have been to deal with the state having a land grab.
Yeah,
to get that area.
So that's left him kind of in this rough place where he doesn't want to come back to duty because he was like in the military or whatever. And cut to present day, and he's Arclight now. And he's breaking into this location. This is where they tracked that package that they destroyed the item in last issue, but they put a tracker on like a decoy package to see where it was going. And that's where
it went.
Yeah, this is where Arclight's going in, this Camp Weston, which turns out to be a place where the villains here have been experimenting on children to see if they can control the weather. Because they tied weather to like emotions, but because kids don't have like the blocks up that adults do to like sort of control their emotions.
What's now you said the villains did this?
I say villains, yeah. I was just
the U.S. government.
Well, I was
same thing.
It was a general term just for the
yes, but I think important to note this comes from a U.S. government program.
Yeah,
right. There's a U.S. government program. So when they get to Camp Weston, there's this like array of antennas, right? They're like old school.
It looks like a
TV antennas.
Yeah, it looks like a grid almost the way they're laid out.
And which reminds me, there's a place in Alaska called HAARP, HAARP, right? That is very similar to this, that conspiracy theories have been abound for years, that it's a weather control station, right? So the fact that I feel like Ram V pulling from that with the Vigil here, playing in those dark shadows, and him using this version of it to have a place where, oh no, it's even worse than just controlling the weather. It's experimenting on kids.
And they set up as well that all the like places surrounding this place all had like weird weather disasters that drove everyone away. Like a town nearby got flooded, another one got like a tornado or something like that.
Right.
So it sort of sets up that there's some weird anomalies going on here, and then when he gets in, we get a character that looks like a cyber techno horror style thing, or better yet, there's a direct comparison you can make with Saga, because Saga has like a race of characters who have TVs for heads.
You know what happened when it got to this part of the book?
Yeah,
I was like, this feels like a Doom Patrol book.
Yeah, there's a little Doom Patrol actually.
Both.
Yeah, I feel like the tone of the book's different from Doom Patrol, because Doom Patrol has that sort of heart to it. This feels a little
zaniness.
Yeah, this feels a little bit more serious and darker than Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm not saying this is the same. It's not a Doom Patrol book.
You know what Ram V
give
did?
me that like immediate like vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got really into 80s Morrison and went, what if I did Doom Patrol but with Animal Man's tone? And now we got the Vigil.
Yeah, it definitely feels like something you might get in like a techno horror story, or dare I say some sort of David Lynch like short or something.
So Arclight's making his way through the base, right?
TV
and he
show.
sees these the soldiers retreating, and they're like, it's awake, and I'm expecting some kind of monster, right? Some big,
And it's a kid with a TV head.
and it's a kid with like a TV camera on his head. Oh my god! But he can control the weather.
Yeah. We're
You
saying
know?
TV because it looks kind of like a TV, but there's not a screen on it.
There's no screen. It's a box with an antenna.
Yeah, but
Right.
it's got like a light in the middle instead of a screen.
Right.
But yeah, so immediately it's like, hey, this was something that was done to this, but this kid is like vaporizing people in front of him with these powers. Actually, you can almost say there's a little bit of a Stranger Things quality to this because you see like a flashback to. When the doctor who's running the team is talking about his experience with this place, like you see a panel of like all these kids and like one's like levitating Rubik's cubes, and it's like, oh, this was them experimenting on a bunch of children. There's definitely some Stranger Things kind of.
I did like that backstory bit where he's like, of course, there's weather control conspiracies. Like humans have wanted to control the weather for millennia. Like it talks about rain dances, and Egypt.
It's the one thing that no matter how great our technology is, we're still at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make it rain.
Yeah, but you also you can't stop a hurricane.
Yeah.
Yet. I mean, a former president wanted to nuke them, so who knows?
Have we tried it? Do we know it doesn't work?
The other plot thread that comes up here is, so there was the murder of the guy that got was it Saha's the main woman who now works with the team? The guy that got her involved with the Vigil, he turned up dead at the end of last issue, right? And we go back to that crime scene, the cops are there, and there are two other team members, Dodge and the other one with the mask.
I forget his name.
Yeah, it's still learning because they're all new characters, but they're there to get some evidence themselves, and they collect this black goo that's at the crime scene, and then the tease we get of where it might have came from is this sniper where his eye is just black goo, but that's the eye that he's looking through the scope with, so it's like
and it's still like leaving residue on the scope as he takes his face away.
So this is an interesting potential villain we're setting up here with this black goo eye.
I do love it.
Yeah, and then he kills someone else as well because we cut to him like lining up a shot, and then Mr. Wall, I think his name we get for
Wall,
him. Yeah. And so he kills someone in a building, at a business meeting. And
again, it doesn't look like bullets. It's just like
goo. Yeah.
Blackness. It's just like this inky splotches is the way it's represented.
And we get a tease for the guy who's given him this order, which is a guy with a cane, which is like it's got like a shark like on the cane tip.
Yeah.
And he's walking into LexCorp, and that's kind of the other tease. So we're teasing like these villains and like who the people are.
Yeah, well, because remember that the package that they intercepted was from LexCorp.
That's right. Yeah. I don't think Lex is behind anything here. I think this is someone who is using LexCorp for their own means rather than Lex himself.
I feel like that's why he's going, because the thing that they're supposed to get never made it. You know?
So I wouldn't be mad if Lex is involved on some level.
Sure, yeah, it wouldn't bother me, but it just kind of feels like it's separate from him at this point.
Yeah.
But you get the nice scene where Arclight has to talk down the kid who's like still trying to use his powers, and he basically has to stop him from going nuclear. I mean, not literally, but effectively.
For that sequence, as he's getting closer, and just walking towards the kid, as a fantastic sequence.
And then him basically like understanding where he comes from because he lost his family, right? And so he's looking across on the kid, like, I know it's hard for you right now, and you just want to destroy everything, but just take a breath.
I think giving us this backstory on Arclight gives us the impression that all these characters who are on the team are probably all broken in some way. They've all got something that's led them here that we're probably going to find out throughout the story. And just fleshes them out a little bit. But
as much as these are our heroes, it does feel like they don't necessarily have much morals. Like Arclight just straight up eviscerates all those dudes outside. The kid makes it rain on them, and he just electrocutes all of them.
Bro, that might be one of my favorite moments in a comic, where he lets the kid, let him have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and then it rains, and then they're all standing around, they're like, "What's going on?" And then he hits him with his electricity, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
it's really simple.
Man.
It's just the kid, like his little antenna shoots a beam up, it makes it rain, and then Arclight's like, "Okay, they're all wet now." Zap.
Super cool.
Yeah. So. No, very cool. And it leaves them all like just burnt, like because that panel afterwards where there's like smoke coming off them,
bodies, and you see Saha just being like, "What the hell have I signed up for?"
Yeah,
here?
Saha's horrified. She doesn't know what to do, and that's when she goes into the leader, the doctor's room, and his clothes are just there on the floor, like almost like he's disappeared like a ghost. and his clothes have been left behind. And then the final page is him getting into a black void. It gives us a name for it. It's the Antion, yeah. But it looks like this weird alien dimension. It looks like it's a desert, but then there's all these floating weird eye things in the sky. And he just says, "Oh, Hep, what have you done?" So, who is Hep?
The hell?
Who is Hep exactly?
Right.
You know? And what have they done?
That felt like something out of his Swamp Thing, right? Like
yeah, it feels like it's dipping into like these more ethereal ideas at the end.
This is where I can see where Matt's coming from with the Morrison influence, because up to this point it feels like it's like a Rucker book.
Yeah, it does.
Tonally, and then all of a sudden it's. Or is it?
We're shooting people with black goo, having kids control the weather, and then sending them to this place.
It's like Rucker and Morrison's brainchild.
Yeah, well, I was comparing it last issue. I was saying it reminded me of when I first got into like a Silencer when that came out, and just being kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool having this like unique character with abilities, and it's more of an espionage thing. This is doing that, and the structure of the storytelling so far has been very good. Like both issues have played with structure. The first issue probably more so, but even this one does it a little bit. Where it's playing with the order of events to try and make the events mean more, and I think it does that quite well. So I do think the first issue is better, because the first issue I gave it a really high score because I thought it was an exceptional first issue. I think this is a really good second issue though.
I think I prefer this issue, which again maybe controversial. I think this one just it hooked me a little bit more.
I have no idea what I have literally not heard anyone else talk about this book, so all I know is what we said. So,
don't get me wrong, like the first issue, it's still it's a great issue, but there's a lot of this is the introduction, right? Which of course it is. It's necessary. This issue, by its nature, was able to be a little bit more focused on this is a mission. It's still focused on one character, but it's like, okay, this is everything in motion. This is kind of how it functions issue to issue, and I think I enjoyed this more.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll rate the book then. But Vigil is my favorite of the three We Are Legends books. It just clicked with me so much with that first issue, and I think this one didn't do anything to hurt that. So.
I think this is the best of the three books, but I don't know if it's my favorite yet.
That's fair. Matt, what are you giving the book out of 10?
I mean, it's an 8.
Connor?
I'll probably give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.5. I give the first one like a 9.5. So I mean, I
yeah,
you know, so far excellent miniseries. You know, Ramvi's really cemented a place in my current DC like Mount Rushmore right now.
I have not read anything from Ramvi I didn't enjoy, and I've gone and hunted back a lot of his older stuff. All of it's great. Yeah,
so excellent stuff. That is the Vigil issue 2. All right, final book of the week is Cyborg issue 2, which I did not read. I was going to read. I did not choose to not read this. But this is Matt's fault, because Matt was ready like earlier than I was expecting him. Matt messaged saying, "I'm logging on," and I'm like, I thought I had at least like 20 minutes left, but okay.
It's okay. Look, you didn't miss much. Connor, you didn't read this, did you?
I haven't even read the first one.
Yeah. It's just more of the you know, his dad's the AI, except this time. So I'll try to give a proper review. I did not enjoy this one.
Just before you get into it, I'll just mention Morgan Hampton writing, Tom Raney on art.
There you go. Art rate. There's 2 pages done by a different artist. Let me pull this up because it's an artist. It's the one artist that did the Mr. Miracle future state book.
I remember that being all right, actually. Yeah.
So the first 2 I was like, oh man, like I think it's Leandro. Hold on. Where's it at? There we go. Valentine DeLandro. So it starts off with a you know, you see the last moments of Silas Stone, and he's keeping tabs on his son. He, you know, you get the vibe that he's feeling regretful because he doesn't have a great relationship, and then he has a heart attack, kills over, and then the lady that's the assistant comes through. DeLandro's art is really fantastic. Nothing against Raney's, but Raney's is almost very washed out with the colors and is kind of cartoony in the proportions and whatnot. Versus DeLandro, or I'm gonna mess up that name, DeLandro. You know, nice thick lines. Everything's very clean and neat, and it's very reminiscent to me to Michael Lark. and the colors are a lot more. They're less muted. So is the opposite of muted saturated?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're a little bit more saturated, and so it really kicks out. But they're at the Solace HQ, which is the guy that claimed to be Dr. Stone's, the person he was mentoring. He's kind of the tech bro-y guy, and they're wondering if this is really, you know, the robot is really the AI version of Silas Stone. Cyborg's having a hard time because he doesn't want this to be his dad. So essentially, he shuts down the robot by plugging into it and downloading this AI that appears as Silas, and he puts it into his own system. We get more of the talking head lady just talking about how she doesn't like Cyborg and that he's more of a problem for Detroit than anything. But Cyborg gets a call to go deal with two people that have broken into the old Justice League Detroit building, and they're defacing statues. So it ends up being Shrapnel, and I don't know who this other guy is, but he basically throws things, and no, it's Fastball. So Cyborg dispatches them. He ends up basically creating his sonics into creating like a resonating chamber to make Shrapnel magnetic. So it kind of pulls him away from everything that they're doing. The robot that was programmed to think that it was his dad shows up to help, even though he won't take the help. They go to drop off the two villains that he caught in the Justice League Detroit headquarters. Two Star Labs, where Mammoth and Gizmo are, who made an appearance in the first, or I think it was the first issue, or at least it was the first story that we got about the Cyborg. Before they realize that him and the assistant, while they're at Star Labs, that Silas isn't done fully developing the AI, and so it's still downloading. So they end up taking him out of Cyborg and downloading him into the main computer in Star Labs, where he ends up becoming this big giant face and like on the screen, and tells them that they have to get to Solace. Everything is, you know, he's behind everything. He'll explain everything on the way. And so that's where it ends. And it's just not, I don't know. It kind of is doing that thing where we have to just inject technology in everything Cyborg does. I was really invested in the last issue on the whole thing with him trying to be without his dad and then meeting this guy that claims to be the mentor, like his mentee for his dad, and, you know, kind of everything that Silas wanted Victor to be. And now we just, you know, have AI Dr. Stone in here who's going to just explain everything, and how the Solace dude, the mentee, is the one behind everything. So I don't know, it just kind of lost its steam for me in this issue. And on a busy week, it's kind of like, oh man, I wasted my time reading this one when, you know, I could have started with little anything else. So Raney's art's pretty good, but again, it's pretty cartoony. But in that kind of good way. I'm trying to find a comparison, and I can never think of one, which I guess is good. But yeah, it's just the book's fine, but it's nothing that makes me excited to read it again. So I'll give this a 6.5.
Okay. Cool. That'll take us out of the final part of the show, which is where we pick our favorite things of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books. So we'll start off with panel / moment. Matt, have you got a pick at the ready?
Yeah. So I'd love to pick Babs' Double Dare. Right? That was a
I feel like
moment.
you've got some seedy motivations for that pick.
That was a lot of fun, though. Just her yelling at Dick for, you know, yeah, that's the right answer and stuff. But there was a couple actually in Superman that stick out a little bit more to me. One is the shanking of Lex Luthor, because that really, and the other one is Superman crushing the the Sonic canon to let Mercy know that's not how we do things. And if I have to pick between those two, the fun answer is him crushing the gun. But the one that really got me was the shanking of Lex. So that's going to be my moment.
All right, Connor.
I'll go with the Garth reveal because it made me laugh. Like just as it happened, I was like, "Of course."
I think that's fair. I think I'll probably go with Nightwing. I'll probably go with the the realizing that we're talking to Heartless and he's behind the plot of the issue. I think that was a good moment to kind of hit. So, all right, cover of the week. There's a lot of books this week. There's plenty to pick from. There's like a Ben Oliver World's Finest cover that's quite nice. The regular Jorge Corona Batgirls cover's nice. I think the two that I'll point out most though is the Doc Shaner Titans cover, but my pick will be the Mikel Janin Superman cover, which is Silver Banshee kissing Jimmy.
It's a good one.
Which I think looks really nice. But there's a lot of
I don't
other
even
good
think
ones.
that's the best Superman cover.
Well, that's fine. You could pick something else.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not gonna pick it. I just thought I don't think it's
The regular
Superman.
cover's nice as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying.
No, it's the Foreigners cover. I think is the best for the Superman ones.
All right, Foreigners is good too. Nice use of negative space.
Yeah.
But is that your pick for the cover of the week?
No, God no.
Well, we'll go
So
on
much
then.
better. Ooh, so I've narrowed it down to two.
He's such a little bitch at times, Matt, isn't he?
It's either the Bartel Starfire, the
I knew it. I
Disco
was waiting
Starfire,
for it
which
to come out.
has been in my phone rotation, like my background rotation for like a couple of months since you put it up online.
Talk about self-parody.
Oh, but the other one, I might accidentally be picking Matt's self-parody here, but it's the Bilquis Evely Wonder Woman variant, and yeah, either of those works.
Matt
They're both
hates
phenomenal.
picking the same thing as someone else, and I can see him seething because that was going to be his pick.
Yeah.
What's your pick, Matt?
Well, now I have to look at the Nightwing covers to see if I missed anything. Because Pete went and took the one I was going to pick for Superman. That Dan Moore
That was
one does look
me.
nice,
I
though.
thought Connor stole the one you
No,
wanted.
but then Connor took my backup, which was the Evely. Actually, it is the Fornes Superman. I messed with everybody. The Fornes Superman is really good, and my shop was all out of those, so I couldn't get that cover physically.
Oh
So,
no! Oh well.
Yep, a little bit sad.
All right, not cover. Artist of the week. Connor, you can start this one.
This is tough.
No, it's Mora for me.
Oh well, Matt.
I guess not. I really like the Vigil art. That was real good. Scott's art's good too. I'm gonna give it to Redondo for Nightwing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking between Jamal Campbell, Redondo, Nicola Scott, Dan Mora, and yeah, Sharma for Vigil. Like they're all really solid, and even Sam Pierre for the Wonder Woman story, which feels a little bit unfair because it's not quite as long as the rest of the issues. But I think. Oh, this is hard. I think I think I'm going to go Redondo as well, but it's really close between that and Mora. I think is my top two, but they're I could easily do a top 5 this week probably. There's that many strong artists this week.
I get you.
All right, Matt, top 5 books, rank them, go.
All right, so number 1's gonna be Nightwing. Number 2 is going to be Superman. 3 is Titans. 4 is Vigil, and 5 is World's Finest.
Connor?
Very different list from me, I think, because Vigil first, then Titans, then World's Finest, then Nightwing, and then can I count the Wonder Woman back up over Superman? If that counts, then that.
I think the way we've talked about it this week, you can, yeah.
Then yeah, that.
Yeah, my number 1 is probably Nightwing. Number 2, The Vigil. Number 3, Titans. Number 4, World's Finest. And then number 5, what are my choices here? It's the Wonder Woman story or Superman or Batgirls. Out of those, probably Batgirls, number 5.
Yeah.
Superman's close though. Honestly, it's a good week because I didn't really have any like really weak links in my books next week. And maybe that's just because Matt was ready early and I didn't read Cyborg. But yeah, so good strong week, a lot of books, a lot of quality, lots of good things. So I'll tell you now what's coming next week from DC Comics. So we have Detective Comics 1073, we got Action Comics 1056, we have Green Arrow issue 3, which I know we're all excited about, Harley Quinn 31, The Riddler Year 1 issue 5, Batman the Brave and the Bold issue 2. That first one snuck up on us because I just kind of ignored it for some reason, and then I read that Tom King story and was floored by it, so I'm actually excited for it this time. We got Tim Drake Robin issue 10, City Boy issue 2, Fables 159, Batman the Adventure Continues season 3 issue 6, and DC Ruby issue 5. So definitely less than this week, but a good selection of interesting books, nonetheless. So yeah, that's what's coming next week from DC. So hopefully you'll join us for that. But that does bring an end, more or less, to the show. You can support the show and all the content that is made from MailFuzz Movies, TV, and all the rest of it by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us for any amount per month. At the $5 tier and up, you get early access to the show whenever it's ready on the Saturday night, which, depending on your time zone, might be very, very, very late, but it'll be there a bit earlier than it would be otherwise. So you can go do that. Or of course you can support us for free by just liking, subscribing, listening, watching, and sharing us out on social media at DC Comics Podcast on Twitter, if you're looking for us. But that is the show. That has been episode 362 of Comics From The Multiverse. So thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.